Hello and welcome to episode 27 of the Pylon Show. I am your lone host this time because Artosis has a family and he's taking him to Disneyland and all that weird stuff that good fathers do, I suppose. Jeff Control Robinson, thank you for tuning in. This is the random time we picked for the show, and I'm glad you guys found us. I am not alone, though. I'm joined by Matt as Root KatZ.
Well, hello, I'm Root KatZ.
Matt, you got to move your mouth so it looks like it's a real thing. Just go ahead, KatZ. Hang on. No, Matt's not playing along. He's all okay. And here's KatZ. Ready?
Hey.
Set. There he is. That's actually KatZ. We tricked you guys before that. You thought that was KatZ, but it wasn't.
It was not.
KatZ, thanks for being back on the show, man. Is this your third time?
Second time.
Only second. Wow.
Only second.
Well, hey, thanks for coming back on, man.
My pleasure.
Well, I'll ask you guys all this because we were all at Blizzcon. So we'll just go down the line here. Nate also joining us, the man, the myth, the legend himself.
Well
Nate,
met.
You doing okay, man?
Doing great. Been a good day. Just chilling.
Another day in paradise, right? And then a fan favorite of the show, one of the biggest bulging veiny brains that we can have on the show. It's Mr. Neuro. Yeah. And every time I say something weird, you get a new emote. So I'm just gonna keep saying weird stuff now. Neuro.
I see how it is.
Yeah, welcome, man. How you doing?
I am the swarm. Good to be back. It's always an honor. It's been a heckin' good time with you guys so far. Hopefully there will be another clip of something with one of your strange analogies. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, that's coming up, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm just here for my face, not for my words.
Yeah, well, now you know.
We really marginalized Neuro here.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pigeonhole
I'm being
him into the corner.
typecast.
Wait till he says something stupid and we're all like, ooh, is he falling apart? Is this
It's losing it.
Is this the worst we've ever seen of Neuro? Probably won't ever happen. Anyways, thank you guys for joining in. This could be a great show for you guys. Just a roadmap real quick. Artos is not here, so I'll do my best job to get through this week in StarCraft. And also, it's been a couple weeks without a regular Pylon show. We did the one at Blizzcon, but that basically doesn't count as a regular one. So no, if you're worried about this week in StarCraft being 4 hours long, it's not going to. I promise you. I'm going to blitz through that crap. I had Alison, not crap, excuse me. Blitz
that garbage. Sweep it under.
Shit. No, it's a really great part of the show. Anyways, Cobra and Alessander put together an abbreviated version, and I'll go through it very fast. But then we have a really nice conversational based show, and these people were handpicked because I think they're fantastically opinionated, awesome individuals that will stand by their word and kind of give you the honest feedback on what they think. We just got back from BlizzCon where we'll talk a lot about that. But at BlizzCon, we attended the summit. We cannot give you details. It's NDA'd. But one of the topics is the future of Starcraft. So we can kind of give you our outlook on what we thought coming out of that and going into next year and all that stuff. And then we're going to talk about some other fun issues like one of the ones that kind of gets talked about a lot as well is the Diablo Immortal outrage and kind of how fans handled that, how the developer handled that, and what that could mean for StarCraft as well. So we'll have an interesting talk about that. And then that's the show. So, well, there's a couple other topics as well, but the point is it's mostly conversational, so that'll be fun. So without, this is also important to mention too. Sorry. So 2 weeks ago, anyways, last episode, we mentioned Patreon at the beginning of the show, and we had a really awesome surge of people on YouTube probably that don't watch till the end of our shows on the VOD. There's some great stuff.
You know who you are.
There's some great stuff at the end of the show. You guys should watch it. But anyways, they didn't know that we had a Patreon, or maybe it just motivated to do it, but we hit 2,000 on the Patreon. So I want to give a big shout out to everyone that did that. Thank you. Duddles, even at BlizzCon itself, said, Jeff, get over here. And right in front of me, he signed up for Patreon to tip us over, and that was really nice of him as well. But that means these guests are going to get paid, and future guests are going to get paid. That's one of our initiatives, is to try and give back, so we're able to do that. We're only able to do that because you guys are doing that, so that's awesome. Yeah, make it rain. We're going to hopefully grow it, though, even more. So if you think 2,000 were stop, it's not. Our end goal is to get to $2 million. If we can get to $2 million a month, we can actually reassemble Cobra as some kind of, like, animatronic machine man who can actually just be inside the internet and give up his mortal life and control the show from inside the internet itself.
Oh, like a purifier. We're gonna download him like a purifier.
It'd be like the first AI, but of course it would start with a human mind. So we could sell the rights to that to some sci-fi movie as well. It's just that is the end plan, but until we get to that, at each tier we'll come up with new ways to give back to the community, and I have some ideas, but we'll talk about that when I get a chance to talk to Cobra and Artosis and we solidify that. Anyways, thank you guys. And if you're not a Patreon supporter, please consider it. Without further ado, because I already hear myself talking a lot, let's get through This Week in StarCraft really quick so we can get into the meat and potatoes of this. And I encourage my guests, if you have comments, please do say something. If you don't, that's okay too. We'll get through this really quick.
Cool.
Cobra?
I did have a comment. I'm not sure that I'll hold on. I can't promise that I'll hold on to my word, something like that you said. I hope that if I'm convinced, otherwise I'll change my mind in this discussion of things.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah.
Hold on to your word. What do you mean?
Like you were saying, we're very opinionated and we stand by our word. I hope that I don't always do that.
Well, CatZ,
that's what I'm saying.
I will go to sleep tonight knowing that you mostly do stand by your word. If not because you've done it for the last 8 years I've known you, then I'm not worried.
I change often.
But you change because you believe in it, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
I would agree with that. So Cobra right now is flashing through our Match Reno and Patreon. We'll talk about that at the end, but I did want to mention at the beginning here for you guys to check it out. What's the code this week for Match Reno? GG Cyril? GG Cyril. So if you put that right there in the coupon code, which every week, by the way, there's people are like, it's not working. It's working. It's right there.
It works. It works.
Just put it in there. Thank you. I'll talk about it at the end because I do feel a little bit jealous or guilty every time we have guests on and then I just talk for like 25 minutes. But topic, This Week in StarCraft. Let's do it, Cobra. Show me the stuff. Online Sports Championship League is continuing on here with Solar. Okay, this is awesome, by the way. And the people that organized this actually reached out to me and kind of explained the whole history of this. It's been around for a long-ass time, and they've given so much money to players that are willing to put in the work and compete and just get out there. And I think it's awesome. And actually, I love that they keep track of how many tournaments these guys have cashed in on because it's a lot. You can see Solar at the top of the list there, making a lot of money. Starkiller, this name that pops up everywhere. They are going to continue. It looks like Namshar took All-Stars 62. Raynor won one. Blue and Ukko recently competed in the 100 OSC partnered tournaments played to earn a place in the League's Hall of Fame. Very cool. Check it out. They have a Twitch that you can watch and follow. I believe the show notes has all the links to this kind of stuff, which is posted in the chat, but also is in the YouTube comments for our people that check on YouTube. OSC Match Reno Grand Celebrity Cup. Now, I have a problem with this. It says Grand Celebrity Cup, but I don't see Nathanias, me, Todd. So, is it really a Grand Celebrity?
Is it, though?
I don't... well, as you can see, Solar ends up going down to the finals against Guru. Guru who beat you Thermal in there, though. That's pretty cool. It looks like this is already done. Sunday, November 11th. No, it finishes on the 11th. Anyways, you can check that out. That's one of the things they're running. Artosis is way better at this than I am, by the way. He has the ability to read these small things. I don't. Next up, if you could scroll up a little bit here, Cobra, because I can't quite.
It's at celebratory, right?
Celebratory, not celebrity.
I think I read it as celebrity. We're going to stick by our guns, okay? That's we give it one. We give it one.
See, this is what I mean.
You can tell where my mind's at, right? It's red celebrity. It's celebratory.
Pronunciation is important.
No, is it though? No. Passioncraft Open Season 9 is going to be going down on Saturday, November 10th. So you can check this out as well. I'm looking at these names. Minato. So this is okay. This is a European thing, is what I'm gathering. Milius Pro. I like that guy. He's a part of Chaito. Anyways, they will be competing. You can check out the stream there at Passioncraft SC2. Give them a watch. And even the nice thing about these kind of small stuff, by the way, guys, even if you don't watch it, you can check out the VODs or you can follow the channel. All that kind of stuff lets them know that they're putting out content and you guys appreciate it on some level. So even if you don't dedicate to that tournament itself, please consider supporting it in some way because that helps grow the scene's grassroots stuff. World Electronic Sports Games 2018. That's a mouthful. Okay, so this is WESG, by the way. So people are continuing to qualify. Neeb from NA, Silky, Future, and Puck so far. Russia only has Rail. Canada got Scarlet and Massa, so some great players in there. See those results. Fear Dragon Nathanias will be casting this next weekend. Nate, are you going there or something?
It's in Southern California.
Oh my
So
god! And that's
it's
where you
like
are.
down in Huntington Beach. So I'm basically just going back to Anaheim, and
That's awesome.
Right.
yeah, and yeah.
And you're casting with Fear Dragon, it's just the two of you?
Yep. I think the semis, there's only 4 players. So the semis are on Friday, I think at 5:30 Pacific time. And the finals are Sunday at 3:30 Pacific, and then that's it.
Very cool. So that's some fantastic players there, though, that will be playing. Commentated by 2 great commentators. And make sure and tell Nate to stop bullying Fear Dragon, just like you guys all tell me to stop bullying Fear Dragon.
My goal is to give him enough heat that the heat finally comes off of you, and people are like, wow, Nathan's way more of a jerk to Fear Dragon than In Control ever was.
Then there's a graphic or something like that, like who's the bigger bully or something. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
All the
This
while
message
like,
paid for by the Pylon Show.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Who is the true StarCraft master? This feels like Pig is behind it. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Pig ran this. That's a big Pig smile, by the way. Do you guys see that picture? Pig looks like Did you guys watch the movie or the show Legion?
No.
Well, the bad guy is like, anyways. Pig looks a little bit handsome.
He's got a really good dental plan, is all I'm going to say.
He's got a big mouth. But not in a... I mean, literally, he's got a big mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, not in the other way. Anyways, that's going on. Base Trade Star League Season 2 Cross Finals is... it's already been done. Gumio beat Rainer there. Well, we're really flying through this. Thank you. Banshee Tournament number 7. Number 8 coming up on the 17th. This is the all-female tournament put on by Zombie Grub. It's been hugely supported by the community. Thank you guys so much for that. You can see that Tilia won again. She did drop a map, though, and I think that's one of the only maps that she ever drops. So that's nice to see. So
yeah, Tilia is very good.
She is. And she started streaming a little bit, too. And a lot of people check that out, so do look into that. But, yeah, go to Zombie Grub. She's the one that puts that on, so, on one of those channels. Ladder Heroes by Mr. Fear Dragon himself. We were just talking about him. This is also a fantastic initiative that's putting money in the pockets of people. You can see Puck and Rail, the big winners there. Both Protoss players. I wonder if there's a connection there. But that's just ongoing. And then we have the Tespa Collegiate Series. A lot of familiar names in there as well. I'm looking at Estrella. Actually, usually Starkiller's in there, I believe, but he's not. Print F in there as well. Looking for a date. December 2nd is one of the streams coming up there. But again, in the show notes, if this is moving too quick, you can check there. And then Go for SC2. Rotterdam's won 2 of these motherfucking things. Look at that guy. Look at that name right there.
This
Number
guy.
10, Rotterdam.
Literal god.
That's insane. And I watched both streams he did. It's really hype. It's actually fun because Kevin gets more worked up than anybody I've ever seen. Like, he has to get out and smoke. He's pacing. He's, like, shaking while he plays. He can't talk. People are, like, donating, and he's like, stop donating. It's distracting me. It's pretty funny.
I love
definitely.
Kevin.
Oh, he's Kevin is Mr. Passion, so if you could watch that. And then what would a Pylon show be without the Pizza Pie Weekly? Check out these websites. They're still feeding these guys. Starkiller has won number 44, defeating Mr. L. The next one will be November 11th. If you are looking at this and thinking a pizza sounds good, get in on that action, please. Take food away from these young college guys. By the way, I met the Pizza Pie people at BlizzCon. They're really lovely, and they said that while it's funny we keep mentioning them, it's actually helped out their thing. So that's really cool feedback to know that you guys have gone out and checked this stuff out. Upcoming tournament, PG1. That's coming up. Where's the date on this? I'm looking for it. I don't see it. Maybe this has already happened. All right, next one. I feel like this is like, it's like Clockwork Orange, where he's got his eyes like taped open. He's like, read all of these, Jeff. Upcoming turns, page 2. Nope, not even going to talk about. Page 3. Now we're back to page 2. Page 3. Matt, which... Okay, it's page 3. The SC2 AI Ladder Tournament Season 6 continues. This, I made jokes, but I feel bad because I'll tell you what, this is going to be a big part of, and we'll talk about this in the future of StarCraft, but start bending the knee to your AI overlords now, because this year it's coming. All right, so you can check out the results here. November 10th, they have the stream going. Home Story Cup XVIII is coming up. It's only a couple weeks away. That's going to be exciting. They're announcing players on a weekly basis. Commentators will be the usual suspects, I'm sure you can imagine. Is that it, Matt? We did it? We got through all of it.
Why did we skip page 2? I didn't get it.
I don't know. Matt just decided, man. He drives the show. I'm only here. I'm just a mouthpiece. But that's gonna be exciting. Check it out. I'll be there. Okay, here's page 2. It's the OSC Battle of the Americas. NA versus LA champions. Cham, Kalazar, Silky, and Massive Future Ryu. A lot of upcoming names there. That's very cool.
Cool art as well.
Yeah, it was cool art. And again, the show notes are in the chat for you guys on Twitch, and then on YouTube it'll be in the description for you guys in the podcast. You unfortunately do not see what Neuro Zerg is wearing right now, which I encourage you to check out the video portion of this show, because you'll... Neuro, are you a old man with a beard or something?
It just takes so long going through this week in StarCraft, I just age.
It does. It does take a long time. It's such an alive game. Zest and Bunny were just announced, but there's a bunch of players getting announced, so you can follow TakeTV on Twitter and that kind of stuff and see all the updates. Upcoming tournaments, page 5. Cheesadelphia Grand Finals $10,000 Open is coming up. We're actually going to have all the information. We're going to talk a lot about this on the next episode because they are advertising through us with a paid spot, which is really cool. So if you want to advertise anything especially strong, reach out to me and I will charge you $1 million, and then we'll go ahead and do that. I'm just kidding. Hey, well, Cobra, go back up. There we are. December 8th and 9th in Washington, D.C. is where it will take place. This is a fantastic land. It's number 8, it looks like, and they've done a great job, and they're growing it. Previous champions True and Neeb will be in attendance, it looks like. And all signups are processed through lobby.gg. Get signed up now at lobby.gg. So there you go. If you're in the area, check it out. Get your butt there and play. Do not experience StarCraft without a LAN, by the way. Now we can move on over.
Yeah. Is this the biggest Cheesadelphia yet?
It might be.
I think it might be.
The biggest cheese.
Because it's their biggest prize, so.
General transmissions. Inside the scene number 12. SC2 foreigners in Korea with no regret. Whiplash. Holy fuck, I forgot about Whiplash. Is there a picture of him?
Whiplash.
There he is. Look at that handsome devil. You guys remember Whiplash?
I do. VT Whiplash.
Very cool. They're doing such a great job inside the scene. Those guys are putting on a good show. Drex Sama, Endersword, you guys do a lovely job. So episode number 12 is already on YouTube, I believe, so you can check it out. And then inside the scene, number 13, building a barcraft with Hyper Turtle and Cable. I remember Cable as well. He was in SoCal area, did a lot of great stuff. So that's really cool content. These guys are... This is a part of the scene that you do not hear about, and they're doing a fantastic job of tracking down these guys and doing cool interviews with them. So make sure and check out that content, and if you really like it, follow their YouTube, let them know, tweet at them, that kind of stuff. That's all wonderful ways of letting them know that you're digesting that content. General transmissions, the breakdown, episode 7, Rainer. CatZ, what is this?
Whoa. Yeah, this is the breakdown. It's a series where I basically just go over the players' thought process in a game. I feel like it's really there's not a way that I try to go about it other than just trying to understand who the player is and how he tries to view the game and kind of trying to live it through them. Or in some cases, for example, some players are more confrontational and, there's more of a dynamic there.
Yeah.
Or some players are just more timid. So the Rainer episode I really liked. I feel like he's an introverted dude, but really came out of his shell and killed it. So
very cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that is already up on YouTube. CatZ, you're doing a great job. He's putting out a lot of content with some of these great minds talking StarCraft over there. So make sure and give that a look-see.
Thank you.
We also have incoming transmission number 20 with KJ Garcia. That is the Psy Storm guy, I believe. Am I right?
Yep.
Okay, good. Because that would have been really embarrassing if I was wrong. And then episode number 21 is with Artitosis. Nice username. Ooh. Putting out some great content there as well. It is important to note that Artosis a while back mentioned that we have to have more Pylon shows than he does incoming transmissions, and we're up by 6 right now. So get fucked.
Kill
nice
him.
Username. Yeah, absolutely.
Get fucked.
Yeah,
don't stop.
You're not even on our level. I'm just not even. We're just pulling ahead. He's doing a great job. Check out his stuff. And then we got StarCraft 2 Co-op in-depth review, a real-time strategy revolution by Brown Bear. Brown Bear is Artos is a huge fanboy of this guy. He puts out really great content. You can kind of see in the images here, like this guy goes ham on stuff. So if you're If you wear glasses that you could probably replace with a Coke can, or if you wear a bow tie with a suit sometimes, this is your kind of content. This is a tryhard of StarCraft, great information.
He's a cool dude, yeah.
65 minutes about co-op in depth.
Oh, more me.
That's a lot. And then here's KatZ. KatZ and Friends Grand Final Analysis. He assembled some pretty great people and Petit Drogo. I'm just kidding. I love Petit Drogo. To break this down, KatZ, what is this? What are you doing?
This was just more of like there was a Reddit thread that said I wish KatZ and Neuro analyzed like some of the Blizzcon games. So I messaged Neuro and then I was like, well, Neuro's not responding for a day, so I'll see if anyone else wants to do it. So then I just asked in a Skype group, and then Drogo and Lambo wanted to do it, so I scheduled that, and then Neuro responded. And I was like, well, let's do the other one then.
I was just building dramatic tension.
Yeah, he was. So we ended up doing two. Scheduled the grand final first, and then Neuro, Vive, No Regret. Was there anyone else? I don't want to forget. Me. Analyzed semis on the previous day.
Very cool. And this is
the finals are on my YouTube. I don't know if do you have Austin? Do you have the semis on your YouTube, or that's Vive? I don't think anyone uploaded them, but a few people were asking about them because I couldn't stream the semis. But yeah, the finals are on my YouTube.
KatZ, you're doing a great job. This is really good content. Everyone should check that out. It's on KatZ YouTube, which is, what is it again?
We Are KatZ.
We Are KatZ with a Z, right?
With a Z, always with a Z.
Always with a Z. Because we are also millennials, as it turns out.
Yes.
Fantastic content. But what I like, one of the things I really like about KatZ too, is he was pretty freaking honest a little while ago about different content, saying this is awesome, but it takes a while. So if people want this kind of stuff to show up, they gotta make sure and watch it, make sure and like it, make sure and share it on Twitter, all that kind of stuff that doesn't cost any money if that's your concern. But if that's content you enjoy,
even just feedback that it's appreciated. Like I think that's more impactful than even views. Just when you receive feedback that it's helping someone actively, and you get to gauge like how you're making a difference, it's it helps, I think. For some people, the different people are obviously different.
That's been our mantra for a while, so make sure and be active about that, guys, if that is what you're passionate about. OSC News Highlights Show. Sithatos, Denny, Blazer Lord, and Eddie putting together their talk shows as well, which is awesome. We saw those guys at the Summit too. And they're just putting out a lot of content, so make sure and check that out as well. And then Cyan's Chill Chats continue this time with Maynard, who was and that's just this is so it's so fun to see all this because there's so much fucking content. And I'll tell you what, chat, you guys asked for a lot of content, now you got it, so you fucking have to deal with this world. You understand? You have to watch all of it. And you're like, what am I going to do with my day? Well, you have to watch 17 podcasts, and then after that, you can maybe eat a meal if you're lucky. So that's awesome. And then what's this, Matt? What are we looking at? Oh, that's still the Chill Chat with Maynard. Okay. And then we have Player Spotlight Video Showtime. Who put this on? Hosted by Jake No Regret.
It was Paul Dolan.
Oh, okay.
His name was Dolan on the ladder for a while, and before that, it was Siege Mode.
This guy put this out there?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Because he's actually like a good friend. He like peeks up in WCS every once in a while, Dolan.
Yeah, I'm not for a little bit, but yeah, he's been a challenger. He kicks there. He tries to make it there. Wow. I don't know if he ever has, but he's he's always in those tournaments, and
what's funny
it's
about
really
that
well done.
His last name is Dolan, but everyone just assumed he called himself Dolan because of that weird meme that went around for a little while. It's like, no, that's just my name.
Branding.
Anyways.
Oh.
Oh shit! I just see my own picture. Okay, yeah. I did a podcast on the Realm Maintenance podcast. This was pre-BlizzCon, so I was asking a lot of questions about like what it's like to have the Pylon show at BlizzCon, what that means. I think he asked a little bit about me. I actually can't remember a lot of this interview, but it was really good. I thought he did a good job conducting it. It's a cool opportunity for the Pylon show because this guy has a fairly sizable podcast that reaches out to like all Blizzard kind of viewers. So if that's interesting to you, check it out. He did a great job, like I said. Maybe you'll enjoy the other side of his content. This is so funny. How does that picture of you exist, Neuro? Holy cow.
Which one? The playable classes?
No, you're holding like a big loaf of bread or something?
Yeah, it's from the WoW video.
It's a great video. That one's a great video.
Yeah, so a big part of me getting into esports and streaming was Athene's early content. His later stuff is kind of yikes. But early on, like the being out in the woods and connecting the gamer behavior in the wild, I thought was really funny. So my stuff is kind of that, kind of also more Monty Python. But there are other videos that I've done in a similar vein that are more general gamer related, but this is just classic WoW memeing about. I will probably do a 1 to 60 when Classic hits and just see where it goes. StarCraft has been very good to me. Thank you all of you who have been supporting the stream. But yeah, that's a passion point of mine because I wasn't ever into StarCraft 1 and Brood War. I was playing WoW back in those days.
Wow. That was...
It is very good, that video.
That was a trip. Seeing that, okay.
Yeah.
Neuro put together a fantastic panel of individuals to talk about things. Neuro, why don't you... where can they see this? What was this about?
Yeah, so I contacted KatZ and he didn't get back to me for a day. So...
Got him! These personalities.
No, this was kind of a guerrilla project. So I contacted Smix, who is my partner manager, about front page promotion, and I got a front page slot between TwitchCon and BlizzCon, which meant I wouldn't be at home with my normal setup and all that.
Yeah.
But we have so much talent concentrated in one place, I figure why not just have a conversation about building a StarCraft stream, because you get all kinds of questions from new streamers trying to build their brand and their product, and they don't really have that sense of what the process looks like and how to build momentum and get ahead. So got a bunch of really smart people. It was a nice diverse set as well, where people have come into StarCraft and moved up from different angles. So pro players, people who play random, we have a caster with Wardy. Destiny even came in remotely on a laptop. It was a whole lot of fun. It is on YouTube. The quality isn't super high because it was kind of a guerrilla impromptu setup, but super happy we did it and it was a blast. It's on YouTube. I'm not sure if the link is there. I think that's the top thing.
Yep, Cobra Show right now.
But yeah.
Very cool.
And then if I can go to the next one, the banter battles. So that was
there too. Matt is there too, by the way.
Yeah, our own Cobra Venom.
Heck yes. So banter battles was kind of inspired by a lot of the older content, like back in Wings, KatZ, you were a part of this, where you just do customs against someone and kind of talk smack with them and joke about and that kind of thing. So I'm going to try and get more streamers on. All of you here on the show are officially invited if you want to do that with me. It's kind of as time allows for you and what format you want. We could kind of try hard. We can just play random against each other. Doesn't matter. The point is the conversation more than the gameplay, but I think people really like seeing those personalities in the scene interact with each other at that high skill level.
For sure.
So Pig is the first for that as well. So get hyped.
Hype?
Pig can talk smack pretty well.
Noise.
He does it all with a smile. Very cool. So check out all that content. Now we have This Week in Brood War. Have at you number, what number was that? 23. Awesome. You can see first place, $182 was won there by Ajuk. Eon Zerg way up there. Boneth way up there. Shiny, by Spire. Ajuk again, TY2. Very cool. This is put on by Sham2. He does an amazing job. Check it out. A lot of great Brood War content out there by these grassroots folks. And then Kix here, who's also at the summit. Continuing his stuff here, his Shinhan Tank Pro League Round 1. You can see some of those results. That's ongoing. And then we have the Brood War 20th anniversary. This is that Russian tournament, I believe, that has a lot of top players at it. Cadenzi's going to come out and stream. If you don't know who that is, it's a Scottish female Zerg player that's actually incredibly good at the game. It's awesome. Check it out. And then this stuff is just amazing. I don't know how to say his name, so it's Nicholas. How would you pronounce that last name?
Nicolas Chassois.
Chassois.
Wow, you guys nailed that, Chassois. Is it Choasis? Is it Chosies? This shit is so good that I immediately reached out to him myself and I was like, listen, you got to do one for me and I'm going to give you money. So he says next week there's going to be one of me.
Nice.
Watch him make me like 400 pounds and like all the things inside is just like a fucking, it's just donuts and shit. I'll be like, no thank you. But if I can look half as badass as those guys do, I'm going to be super happy. That's the one that
it's incredible, yeah. He's so good.
He does an amazing job. He is open for commissions, by the way, just putting that out there. If you like that artwork and you like have a bunny rabbit that you really love or something like that, you can do that. You can put carrots and paws and shit in its face or whatever you want.
And he just started by drawing stuff just because he was into it, you know. Like,
are you serious?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
of course,
awesome.
drawing players in the StarCraft scene far before he got hired by Blizzard or anything like that.
Very cool.
Yeah, so if you look at his older stuff, if you scroll, you know, way back on his Twitter, then you'll see shit that he just did because it's, you know, it's what he would like to draw, I guess. Yeah.
He did my outgame overlay for me on the condition that I switched from a blue switch keyboard to a brown switch.
Nice. See what I mean?
That was it.
Solid deal. Solid.
Yeah.
That's an amazing overlay. Yeah.
Very cool. Anything else, Cobra? What do you got? BlizzCon thoughts and recap. Oh, okay, we're in the topics now. Hey, we did it. Not bad. 30 minutes. Okay. So this first topic it's called BlizzCon thoughts and recap, but I think that's. Let me see all the topics, Cobra. Actually, can you scroll down real quick because I want to make sure that we don't overlap in conversations here. Pylon show notes. 1 second, everyone. Just nobody talk for a second. I'm just kidding. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about region locking as well. Future of Starcraft. No, okay, so this is different than Future of Starcraft. Okay, that's what I was checking. Thank you, man. Okay, well, we were all at BlizzCon, and we all had different experiences, and I just want to go down the road and talk a little bit about that. It's one of the biggest events of the year, and obviously we're all StarCraft folks, but feel free to share whatever the hell you did and what you liked and what you didn't like and how you felt about it. Let's start with Mr. Nate. Nate, you were at BlizzCon, albeit a little bit briefly, but how was BlizzCon for you?
It was fun. I mean, BlizzCon is the biggest thing in the year for StarCraft fans, and overall, the event was a little bit of a mixed bag for me because I am a fan of other franchises of Blizzard without getting into that. But StarCraft tournament obviously could not have been more happy with how it ended up. I was really happy about Cyril, and I'm sure we're going to dive into that as well. But overall, it was all right. It was all right, BlizzCon.
CatZ, how'd you do? What'd you feel?
I'm always happy going to BlizzCon just to see people, really. That's mostly what I just do, just hang out with people that I haven't seen in a while. And yeah, I'm just happy running around just from group to group. And yeah, before that, there was some Hearthstone players that were also on my team before. So it was like a whole week of just nonstop activity. Much needed for me. I liked it.
It's not really a business place for us, is it? Is anyone going there to meet with Blizzard, or they're not really making connections or setting up anything, right? Neuro, CatZ, Nate, did you guys, any of that kind of happen for you?
For me, it's a reasonably networking heavy thing where you're trying to start conversations. I think my name of all of us is probably the newest in the scene.
Yeah.
So there are some people who I haven't really had a face-to-face yet, and BlizzCon I got to connect and do that. So it did feel kind of on the work side for me. Friday I streamed from the venue and then also talked with a lot of key people and stuff. Saturday was more of my exploratory day where I got to just walk around in the different areas. BlizzCon is amazing in terms of the environments, how immersive it feels with the different lore of the different games and how they set stuff up, from Joey Ray's bar in the StarCraft area to
cool.
Dark Moon Fair. It's just cool walking around and seeing all the cosplays in different areas and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, let me kick up a little bit of dust then for you guys. Some people were having some experiences where the lines were getting pretty savage. I'm not talking about just regular con goers either. I'm talking about the +1s for various different like casters and stuff like that, where in years past they would have perhaps a media badge or something that kind of got around and made it a more enjoyable experience for them. But this year there were complaints that it's just getting big and almost too big is the description for it. So a lot of people that normally attend and feel like this is like a celebration of Blizzard and they're enjoying camaraderie and enjoying the con, this year it was so big that a lot of the stuff they enjoyed in the past they couldn't even do. Did you guys have any experience like that, or is that something you don't even try for?
That's fair. I think the lines were longer and whatnot, but I don't know. I don't really mind the lines. It's just, yeah, I'm still making the lines with people there, and it's just fun.
Well, part of the issue too is it grows year to year, but the venue is always the same. So it's a increasingly mounting logistical challenge to try and get everyone where they want to go.
Well, they opened before, like when BlizzCon started, or the first time I went to BlizzCon, maybe it was pretty closed off, that place. It was like just areas of that place. Now it's slowly growing within, and now they've capped for sure.
Yeah. But they even changed how like the security.
Actually, they haven't capped, right? They have the second floor. I didn't go to the second floor, or is that already being utilized?
There's stuff up there.
I thought it was offices.
All BlizzCon. The whole thing is BlizzCon right now.
That's where we did the Pylon shows up there. They had some stages
Cool.
for the different panels. Yeah, they had to. So for a lot of people that didn't know, they brought in metal detectors and increased security because of obviously the Jacksonville shooting in particular was a gaming related one, and that upset a lot of people. But it's kind of the world we live in right now, because if you don't have high security and someone does do something, then the company that didn't have high security gets absolutely demolished, right? Like they're just like, how in this day and age do you not have everything secure? But thankfully, nothing happened that I'm aware of, and it was mostly fine and good. So it's good to hear that you guys had a nice con experience. And for those of you that attended BlizzCon but had a different experience, let us know in the comments as well. Moving on to like the actual StarCraft tournament side of it, there's a lot of different angles I want to take from this. Obviously, Nate was a commentator, and the Neuro and CatZ, you guys attended in a different capacity. But what was it like? Kind of. I mean, well, okay, so just in case you didn't know the results of BlizzCon, I guess now's your chance to cover your ears, I suppose. That'd be kind of weird, but Cyril ends up winning the finals 4-2, and he probably could have won 4-0, but ends up dropping 2 games that he was ahead of, only to then dominate in the last one as well for a very nice... It was a long game, but he was ahead, I would say, for 85% of it. He wins. It's the first foreigner to do that since... it gets weird. You can start talking about like Guillaume back in Brood War. Not even, yeah, it was Brood War days, but we're talking 20 years ago. Loner against Genius was one of the only other foreigners at a BlizzCon-like event, but that was an invitational, and Loner's Chinese. So really, by what we call a foreigner for the most part, Cyril is the first one, and it's a modern one. And he went into this year with a lot of people thinking he could be the best, and then he proved it. What was this finals for you guys? What was this? I mean, not even the finals necessarily, but that final BlizzCon weekend. Any thoughts from you guys on that?
Who wants to go first?
You could feel, I think the main difference between the previous year and this year was the energy and just the heat in the room based on how many people were packed in.
Yep.
And the really refreshing thing too was this was after Cyril won. When you're just walking around between the venue and the hotel and even in the elevator, people of other games and communities were all talking about it.
Yeah.
Of everything that happened in the whole week. And they're like, I think something weird happened with StarCraft. I think some guy's name started with an S. He like won and it wasn't supposed to happen or something. So it made a really big impact on all of the attendees at BlizzCon, not just the StarCraft people.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I was just waiting in line, and some guy who was like wearing Overwatch gear or whatever was just like, "So did Cyril end up winning?" Like I was like, yeah. And he was like, "Dude, it was so sick." Random people bringing it up, not something that normally happens that much, to be honest, unless you run into one of the like the hardcore people.
Yeah.
The
energy
incredible
around StarCraft has been really nice, actually. Like even going into this BlizzCon, it's a little off topic, obviously, but like, it wasn't that long ago we had to deal with the whole dead game meme, and that was like really pervasive. It was everywhere, right? Like anytime you talk to anyone, because it felt like it was the talk of the town, they're like, "Oh, isn't StarCraft dead?"
Right.
And it was like something that at first, it's one of those funny situations too, where it's like so bad that if you ignore it, that's weird, but then if you address it, you look defensive. So it's just kind of negative. But this year, it has not been that way at all, and it was kind of nice at BlizzCon too. And I saw some comments about this, and I thought it was a fun test because the overall BlizzCon in terms of games were not that good, generally speaking. Like, results were fun, and a couple of the series saved us, but a lot of it was very one-sided. The way Mario lost was very disappointing. It was anticlimactic, right? There's all this hype around him, and then he just kind of gets mind-fucked by SOS, and it's just this terrible series. But Cyril delivering the way he did, and then some of the other close series, and then the surprise of Special in that top 8, I think, really made this a BlizzCon that is extremely memorable. And Cyril winning, I think, becomes the biggest BlizzCon we've ever had, StarCraft-wise, right?
For me, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
For my experience, I was in the crowd. I was moving around, just talking to people, and it was like one of those things it was just such a powerful moment, really. Maybe it's because we've been invested into the game for so very long, into this history of like, oh, the game's 20 years old, and we've been trying to compete, you and I, or at least make it in in our environment, you know, to try to be good at this game, to follow on Korean's footsteps, and just for 20 years, you know. So I went into the finals expecting Cyril to win, but really when he won and he lifted the trophy and he got emotional, I got emotional too.
Oh my God.
I did not expect it. It was just, you know, it hit me all at once, where I was like, yeah, I knew this was going to happen. And then I was like, holy shit, it happened, you know?
Cobra, if you can show that picture, the one that Helena took, and she is an amazing photographer. She did such a good job.
Yeah.
There's this picture.
Yeah. This moment, even just lifting the trophy for as long as he did, and just the happiest I've seen him.
It's not this one. It's not that one.
Well, that's a good one too.
They're all good. She's fantastic. But there's one of him over the trophy, close up on his eyes, and you can see
on the
tears.
eyes. Yeah, he's tearing up. It's just such a
see
powerful moment. It's maybe my favorite moment ever in esports. It's just, so yeah.
And one of the things that also adds to his victory, I think, is how convincing it was. It wasn't even that he maybe created some style that had a series of patterns that no one could quite get on top of and figure out. It always seemed like he was well balanced and confident. And in the interviews between the series, he would talk about feeling like he was in control of the game. So rather than feeling like his army should be able to just crush the enemy and win, it was more about controlling the map, controlling the situation, and just accruing more and more advantages while the enemy lost advantages. So it was a very stable and even-keeled performance. And there wasn't really a question of like, well, is he really the best, or did he just kind of get lucky a few times? He dominated. He crushed it, which is really awesome.
It was kind of funny, too, because, and I wonder if you guys have the same opinion, but I was feeling in that game number 4 of that best of 7, had he completed that and won 4-0, it actually would have diminished his results somehow.
Yeah, I agree.
Stats was getting so beaten, and it was not looking good, and it would have looked like, instead of Cyril being the best, it was like his opponents collapsed on themselves in a very weird way. So when I describe it this way, KatZ, before you get super critical,
sure.
Winning 4-0 is obviously more impressive than winning 4-2, but my point is that it's so lopsided that you begin to excuse the result, and you begin to look for other reasons why he won other than he's just better. But by winning 4-2 and overcoming the adversity that he did, it feels more legitimate, is I guess what I was feeling there.
Yeah.
Go on.
I was just gonna say it's like if in the final fight of the movie, Rocky just like takes the guy out with one punch. Like, yes. Well, there's no, like, you don't feel the tension. You're like, well, I thought this was supposed to be the fight of the century. Just like, boom, nope, see you, dude, peace. Like, no.
Well, if it was a 4-0, they would likely focus on stats playing bad rather than Cyril playing well.
Yeah. See, I don't know.
But then it's negative. I don't know.
I think he's been building up the story anyway the entire year, right? Like, he hasn't lost any event. He's just won everything that he's played, including GSL versus the world. I think that a 4-0 would have been just fine, like, for that storyline. Otherwise, I would normally agree, but I feel like this is just a storyline that he's been developing for a little while. And foreigners as a whole, like, you know, that build up, like that 20 years, I wouldn't mind the 4-0 just being like, yeah, like, this guy is, you know, the fucking king.
It's possible. And that was the picture, by the way, that Matt just showed there.
Yeah, it was great.
There are people that walk this earth that have, like, wrestled a shark and ripped its eye out to survive, and there's people that have killed a bear with a knife, that kind of stuff. They are not as sexy as that picture right there. This guy crying, looking over the trophy of the World Championship of StarCraft. If I had the inclination, I would be fiercely attracted to Cyril right now. He's a handsome little millionaire man. Yeah, and I think the funniest thing too was, well, one of the funniest things is the transformation of Cyril over the years, because he's, well, not years, but the year, I guess. Smix has been working with him, obviously, not like directly, but indirectly on stage, being like, what are your thoughts, Cyril? And you can see him be like, his first thing is to want to be like, it's nice, but instead he's like, oh my God, I have to say something else. So he said, I've been missing this trophy for my collection for a while.
So good.
Is accidentally like one of the most baller things he could say, because it's just such a funny understatement. It's like, you just want $1 million. You're like, yeah, I felt like I wanted $1 million. Like, well,
I think it was after he beat Rogue. She was asking him about the difficulty of the final game, and the way that he delivered it, he said, yeah, it was pretty hard. And the way that he delivered it was super awesome.
Yeah.
I think it fits his character, where it is more of the stoic gamer type, but it was so nonchalant that it played into his confidence pretty well.
Yes.
And he already showed all the emotion, right? So it's not like he just be yourself, dude. Like, yeah, you fucking did it.
We talked about this some in the rectangular table session, where you're talking about how you present your personality as it should be genuinely yourself, but you just turn it up a little bit for the crowd. So it's kind of like finding what that is for Cyril.
Yep. And
He's gotten better.
I think we'll talk more about this in the future StarCraft, because I think Cyril's victory is its own. It's a gigantic stone thrown in the lake of StarCraft, like the ripples that are going to be created by this, and what it impacts for the future is gigantic. So we'll get to that in a second. This is BlizzCon. We had a great time. We're a lot of our topics are going to cover BlizzCon, so it's kind of a little bit weird that way. But just if you have any comments, post it in that YouTube chat or whatever. And then we have the Q&A session coming up later. But we all had a great time. Amazing result. I didn't get to watch it on stream. Did any of you watch it on stream at all? Did you watch the VOD or anything? Like the final moment? I don't think so, right? Because we're all there. I hope they captured, because what was so cool about that for you guys at home was it was not just, it's not fair to call it standing room only, because it was that, but it was actually people beyond the area. Like your eyes could not hit the horizon of heads of people that were back there, and they were all watching. And in the thick of that audience was Mike and Amy Morheim watching, the final BlizzCon that they helped kind of build up to. And then they're passing off the torch, and they watched one of the biggest results, and they watched a big crowd, record-setting stream numbers, and the place was electric, or hot, as I think Neuro or CatZ said earlier. It was just like StarCraft was at it. We were at the beating heart of it, and it's like you just felt so fucking good. Like I said, the final segment, I had to fight back tears, and I wasn't even sure why. It was like the emotion of the room was so thick that I just felt it. Like I wasn't sad or happy about one or anything. I just was emotional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it was overwhelming.
It was so, because it's so many people just discharging, all at once.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of sexual, but
well, I'm gonna roll.
This,
it could have been
an internal discharge.
It's an emotional ejaculation from an entire room of people. But yeah. So I hope they captured that on stream. We didn't get that experience. What I was saying. So if you guys did, let me know. But if you didn't, do everything you can to get to the next BlizzCon. It's one of those pilgrimages. I feel that if you're a big avid StarCraft or Blizzard fan, it's you got to go once. I think you got to do the best you can to get there. Anyway, so that's that topic. Let's move on to the next one, and we're going to talk a lot about BlizzCon, like I said. So the next one is, I don't know. We'll see what this topic is. It is region lock. It is not KSL versus ASL. What is going on here? Matt? There it is. Okay. You guys can't see. Sorry, he shows me different screens. It looks weird. I'm very unprofessional. Artos is the only reason we have a show. So the reason we're going to talk a little bit about region lock, and this might not be a subject, so that you guys, if you have nothing to say, we can just poo-poo it, move on. But a topic that came up around this, and there's a big thread on Team Liquid, it was all over Reddit, and there was some people even asking me about it on my channel and stuff like that, was Cyril winning the World Championship and some of these other foreigners kind of rising up. Is there still a need for the region lock? And for, I guess, to set the table for people that aren't in the know on this, Koreans cannot compete in the WCS. There is IEM Katowice, which is like one of the only Korean and non-Korean WCS events, but otherwise they have GSL that non-Koreans can go and compete at. And then there's WCS where you have to be a citizen of it. So like True got around it, although I didn't see a lot of True this year. Anyways, you have to be a citizen of the place to compete in that area. What say you guys? CatZ, I'm going to start with you. Is there still a need for region lock?
So I do have a lot of opinions on this. I pushed for region lock very strongly, very strongly. I wrote a huge article back then, and I, pushed for it at the summit back then, and I really wanted region lock, and I was very opinionated on it. Now, the question should be re-asked, right? Is there a need for region lock? I think that what region lock should be looking to solve from Blizzard's perspective, for the game to organically grow and self-sustain, is to have the audience match players at a local ratio. And that is just because there's, like whether people like people being patriotic or not, whether you are patriotic or not, or whether you think no one should be patriotic, the fact is that there is a percentage of people that are patriotic. or just communal in a sense that wants to involve people that are like-minded or they can easily relate to, right? So English is one of those barriers and one of those wider spheres that we are all watching the show into, right? So when you have a translator, you already lose a little bit of being able to relate as easily or as quickly to the person, and that's the problem with Asians in general in StarCraft 2, because the ratio of or maybe not so much Chinese, they have their own scene, but Koreans, the ratio of the audience is so skewed towards English speaking. And that makes it so that organically StarCraft 2 wouldn't survive in Korea, right? But Blizzard does a lot for the Korean environment, and I think it's very justifiable. Koreans are and have been such an important part of the StarCraft ecosystem for so very long, right? And they are and have been for the longest time the best players as well. So even from that perspective, from what should be a purely like business perspective, if the goal is for the game to prosper or grow organically, right? I think that right now region lock staying is probably for the best, and that is because Searle winning BlizzCon means that players in the system that has the most potential viewership can feed off of beating Searle now. Whereas before he won BlizzCon, you needed, to an extent from that perspective, from that standpoint, Koreans to legitimize foreigner victories. So from that perspective, if Searle hadn't won BlizzCon, I'd actually be for removing region lock, because I think that foreigners can beat Koreans, and I think that foreigners beating Koreans is a really important transition for the foreign StarCraft ecosystem, basically.
Is the TLDR then that you were saying it should stay?
Yes.
Okay. Neuro?
Yeah, we've had a couple results now with Searle winning GSL versus the World and then BlizzCon, but he is but one person. The gap hasn't entirely closed yet. This is evidence that region lock has done something, which I think is credit to Blizzard deciding to push that through. And what KatZ is talking about with what we call tribalism, where people tend to cheer more for people they identify with and relate to, has basically encouraged viewership from a lot of different countries around the world as opposed to the core Korean dominance. So yeah, I think it's basically worked, and for the time being, it's staying. It seems like it's working for us now. StarCraft is growing. Myself and a lot of people's metrics are way up. So
if I may interject for 1 second, when StarCraft grows, it grows for everyone, right? Including Koreans and including Korean players as well. So I think it's in everyone's best interest to do whatever's best for the game. Anyway, go on.
Nate?
I don't know that that's entirely true, just because the growth for the foreign scene is definitely better, because the types of people that would be really, really upset that Koreans aren't getting all of this love and all this pleasure are very hardcore. They go a bit more towards, like the Brood War Origin players. There are so many people that when they watch these games, they want people to cheer for that they can resonate with in some way. The way that the foreign scene has been bolstered, and one of the reasons why the region log needs to stay, is because you're going to have a shit ton of people in Italy coming up when they stopped caring about StarCraft as much, because they're going to have a guy like Raynor, just like the German StarCraft scene is fanatical. You've got guys like, Hero Marine that are big personalities that draw those people out. Searle is probably, I don't know how much or if there is really much of like a Finnish StarCraft scene, but I would not be surprised to see more of those guys. If there were a few of them, I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to make the trip out to the events, more people coming out. The solution is that hopefully this growth translates into some form of, kickback or revenue for Blizzard that encourages them to put more overall, and the Korean scene can hopefully get a piece of that pie. But I don't think that getting rid of, this whole thing and possibly stunting the growth of the foreign players that are going to draw larger audiences, I don't think that that's the right move. Not this early in this transition, at least.
Yep. I think that would be where I have a tough time seeing Like I'm always a more kind of a evaluation, pragmatism kind of mindset. So the like ethos of it, the emotional side, I get that is in order to kind of clarify what I'm describing, I guess. Is the Korean scene not doing as well because of regional? Yeah. Are some Korean players less viable as a professional career because they don't have non-Korean tournaments to go and get $10,000 every month or so? Yeah, absolutely. And in a perfect world, there'd be this huge scene where the Koreans could go to do that stuff, but there was also enough tournaments and enough scene to like sequester it away, I guess, so that non-Koreans can have what's happening. Because I think the bottom line is, for all the reasons they just said and what you can just kind of readily evaluate yourself, WCS is working, right? Like,
yes,
yep.
There is young players coming up. We have Clem, we have Rainer, there's too many to name. They're coming up in the system. They're
Goblin, Acheron, yeah.
They're getting better, and it's because they have good competition, but they have motivation and they have reason to put in the time. We have more non-Koreans traveling to Korea and training for months at a time than we've ever had before. And I'm talking about the scene when it was the God mode scene, when there was no other game that was as big as StarCraft. We still didn't have that many non-Koreans going over. And then the results, and this is where it's kind of interesting for me, and I think damning to the counter-argument, we have non-Koreans doing better, but outside of Sero, look at BlizzCon. We had a couple Koreans go down, but for the most part, that top 8 was special upsetting to make his way in there, and then it was Sero, and that's it. We had a lot of like first round wins out of Neeb and Showtime and some of these guys in that opening weekend, but then they lost the decider match when the Koreans really needed to get that win. So without this kind of system, most of your results at BlizzCon is still going to be 7 or 8 Koreans doing battle for hundreds of thousands of dollars, while the non-Koreans just watch. And I think that hurts viewership. It hurts everything. Is the bottom line, and this is like pretty inarguable, by the way. So there are some like hardcore fans in the chat, or they will be on Reddit or whatever. They're like, no, the Koreans are why we have a game. You must celebrate them, and I agree. And I like what Nate said. You should celebrate Koreans. They should have special treatment with GSL and stuff like that. But if you just give it all to the Koreans, the hard facts are, in StarCraft 2, the game will actually die. You will not get young talent. You will not get better viewership. The WCS system doesn't make any sense because it's still the same Koreans that have sponsors traveling over and winning and then going back to Korea.
You essentially have to invest where the viewership is, right? Because otherwise, if there's no viewership, if there's no interest that you can generate in that area, then you're just not going to have talent, no matter how much.
Yeah. The increase in viewership this year is also super evident because, especially for WCS and even events like Challenger, insane amount more engagement. If you go to the chats of the tournaments these days, it's like actual shit posting. There's tons of people there that
it's
just having fun. There's people there that are having fun. They're there to have a good time. And they're watching players that everyone has somebody that they can cheer for, Someone's like, oh, I'm German, or my family's from wherever. And
you mean as opposed
the environment, the environment is really nice. I'm saying, as a spectator, when you tune into this, it feels good, and more people are watching, and people are being, I've had, and I know Neuro's talked to this as well. I'm sure you guys have all seen this. There's just a lot more new people coming in. Like viewership for any streamer goes up and down, but so many people when I'm playing StarCraft are just like, yo, I only just got started again this year. What's up? And it's been insane this year, and it shows that the process is working.
Agreed. And Thorny in the chat brings up, and I'll take all these counterpoints because I think this is interesting to say. He says, no new Koreans coming up, though. While that's a bit hyperbolic, let's just give you the absolute... I agree. Let's say there's no new Koreans coming up because that's mostly true anyways. I still think you have to evaluate that with pragmatism in the sense that that is less costly than no new non-Koreans coming up and less interest for the non-Koreans. Because right now in StarCraft 2... they vastly outweigh the Koreans in terms of interest. All the streams are watched by mostly non-Koreans. All the tournaments, the players, it's mostly non-Koreans. And if you double down and invest in Korea in StarCraft 2, you have the risk versus reward of it not paying off. Because they did, by the way, for years. It's not like I'm saying this hypothetically. They actually did. They advertised. They put on multiple tournaments. They had multiple leagues, and they were collapsing and folding to League of Legends, Brood War, and other games. Fortnite came up as well. So, like, if you double down and invest into Korea, at the sacrifice of the non-Korean scene, and then you lose that, you just don't have a scene at all. So the safe bet was to go with the non-Korean scene, which then grew. And you have to give a tip of the hat to Blizzard, by the way, because when they announced this, people like, you know, Apollo were getting just attacked, and it was like the worst thing in the world that they could come up with. Blizzard was being blamed for all this terrible stuff. And at first it was, you know, because it took time too, right? The first year or two of WCS was not that great, but it did take a little while. And then after some time, we're like, holy shit, they were completely right. Well done.
We've heard it from some of the pro gamers, but the fundamental shift with region lock was allowing foreigners to get practice moving from round of 16 to round of 8 to round of 4, making it to the finals. We can see this as examples even with Cyril, where in 2017, he was a good player, but on stage, he didn't seem quite as strong as his ladder play. Whereas 2018, he gets up there, he's a Sith Lord. He's just slamming people against walls and moving them out of his way. So that's a big aspect too, is not just being good at StarCraft, but being good at the offline tournament environment and making it really far with a noisy crowd.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. I think we covered that really nicely. Matt's going to show some stream numbers here from the grand finals, which was amazing. The numbers were huge. I think one of the most telling things for me was Challenger this year.
Yeah.
Had like we used to get like 5,000 or 6,000. That was okay, by the way. That's like we're like, oh my god, 6,000 people watching the first round of Challenger. That's amazing. But this year it was like 30,000, 40,000 people were watching at times, and that's a legitimate tournament stream. There are, I'm not going to name names because we don't need to punch down like that, but like there's other games where their grand finals, their big tournaments don't get that kind of viewership, and we were getting it in Challenger. So it's working, guys. And I'll tell you what, the other side of this too, that is Blizzard knows this, and you're going to get more awesome stuff next year. Like, I can't make promises, we're NDA'd and stuff like that, but I will tell you the assessment is that Challenger works, so expect more of that. WCS works, so expect more of that. And I think that's really good for all of us. So
yeah.
So I think that's that for Region Lock. It's just a fun little discussion. I see some people having counterpoints in the chat and stuff. Let us know. Again, post in the comments, and we can engage there. But for the most part, I think we all, us panelists, agree. It's staying. It's good. Yeah. And then, so real quick, Matt pointed out something I actually kind of missed at the BlizzCon. There was a couple other things. They did the Future of Starcraft panel with Day 9. So we're going back a topic. My bad, guys. That was great. I thought Day 9, he's an amazing host. It's really nice to see him there. They talked about mostly the stuff we actually talked about at WCS. I think it was Montreal with... Anyways, it's just like the future patches with StarCraft and some of the stuff that's coming out. They have new skins coming out. The War Chest that's announced for, I think, December. So get ready for that. It's a building one. And I was kind of... You know, Nate, you're my skin critic, so I was unimpressed with the Terran ones. I'm just going to come out and say it. But the Protoss ones look baller as fuck.
Yeah, awesome. So you could have played the Terran and the Protoss ones. You could play with these in co-op. And I was curious about this as well because I'm like, well, obviously the Zerg ones are insane because those aren't in the campaign, those aren't in co-op, those aren't anywhere. Some of the buildings don't exist in those modes for some of these. And because I was curious myself, I don't think it's a stretch for me to put this out there, but I guess it's just, resource usage. I heard about this, like with the Tal'Darim skin was like different when they put the Colossus out. So I'm hoping we get more cool Terran ones. For me, the special ops ones it just kind of looks like darker buildings, which can be cool, but, I'm glad this is happening.
It's very cool. And the War Chest has been successful as well. There's going to be more of those coming out, so that's fun for us. Just more skins. The content's great. I've liked the way they rolled it out. We also had the Pylon show at BlizzCon. The VOD of that is on ArtosisTV. Matt did a great job uploading it immediately. We had a lot of fun. The feedback to this was fantastic. It was mostly StarCraft Remastered, which is a little bit different from our usual content because we don't spend that much time in StarCraft Remastered here, but we had Grant Davies, one of the devs, Day 9, stop by, and it was awesome. It was the first time for us. It went really well. The viewership was good. They were happy with it. They haven't guaranteed us or promised us anything in the future, obviously, but I just want to report back to our viewer base. The chances of us doing more stuff like this at future BlizzCons is great, and thank you all for being a part of that. Matt, our very own Cobra Venom, did an amazing job making this thing happen. He's just been the frontline soldier. And that's about it for the BlizzCon. Now we can I think that's what I missed. Oh, Last versus Rain happened as well. I was. Did you guys watch? I mean,
I didn't watch.
Meh.
It wasn't that good. It just wasn't that good. I think they should just be like, you know what, fuck it, and invite Jadong and Flash to come out and play next year.
I feel like Artosis is gonna watch this episode and be like, "What?
It was the best." No, he has to on camera, but it was okay. It just really wasn't that great. Rain was just a lot better than Last, and Last picked a weird he picked Sparkle, which is a really weird map to begin with, but it also doesn't favor Terran. Anyways, it was okay, but it's fun to get StarCraft Remastered at BlizzCon. And then the more stuff, new Commander Zeratul. Nate, are you still playing co-op stuff?
Yeah. It seems like, basically, if anybody's curious, the impression that I've gotten, I haven't actually seen any of the gameplay, is it's kind of built like Nova. You have the hundreds cap. You kind of summon down units in squads that are seemingly more expensive, is the idea that I've been given. But your main thing is that Zeratul can do side quests, basically, that power up all your stuff and give you new abilities. So
yeah, I got to stream it from the venue.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's basically for people who love Batman Arkham Asylum and StarCraft 2.
Really?
Batman, you say?
Time. Yes, Batman.
I wish we had Batman amongst us sometimes, but he's just
The
not.
two of you playing.
I've never seen Neuro in the same room as Batman. You know, it's kind of
I
weird.
never have either, actually.
Well, you still.
Like Zeratul, he's the best commander.
The hair. The hair is Batman. It's like a 1980s Nicolas Cage is Batman. It was really good. Anyways, a lot of great content, a lot to be excited about. We'll retouch on a lot of this for the Future of Starcraft. But let's move on to the next subject. I know I'm jumping around here a little bit. What's the next one, Matt? I believe it is... Oh, is it this? Yeah. No, it is this one. Matt already had it up. My bad. It's the Future of Starcraft 2 / Remastered. So to set the groundwork for this, what I'm talking about here... All of these guys attended the... Well, Nate actually did, but Nate is obviously plugged in and knows everything as well. We were at the summit. They talked a lot about the future of StarCraft. We are NDA'd, so we can't give specifics, but I think it's important to talk about how we feel about this game moving forward. You know, Neuro is a big streamer. KatZ owns a freaking team and attends everything and still is very plugged in. He's making content, and then Nate is one of the biggest StarCraft 2 streamers as well. So I think we're good people to kind of talk about... You know, it's November, pushing December. What are we thinking about StarCraft moving forward? And I'm going to go first with a couple of things, because I'm the one that if I get in trouble, you know, I'll go down, and then you guys can live on and feed off the flesh of me and my fat and stuff like that. I'm just going to live on longer. So again, they shared a lot of numbers. Co-op Commander is doing incredibly well. We don't know that, because we're all hardcore people. Everyone watching this show is not a fucking Co-op Commander person, but just so you know, there are hundreds of thousands of people that play that, and that is their StarCraft experience. That was amazing to see. That's incredible. So they're going to continue to make content for that. StarCraft 2 with Legacy of the Void continues to have the same plateau of an audience with a actual increase. It's actually grown around some of their events. So like War Chests that come out, free to play was a big spike. So just so you know, if you're wondering, the player base, the viewership of StarCraft, it's increasing, which is not the way someone who shall not be named put it. In their 20 years of experience on working as a game dev, they've never seen that happen. 8 years into a game, it's growing. It's really awesome and really cool. Mostly games come out, they spike way up, they go down, and then they plateau, and then they keep going down until they die. StarCraft cannot fucking die, okay? So that was really cool. And then other things that we kind of came away from the summit with as well is that you can continue to expect more content coming out of them in terms of stuff like War Chests and things like that. But also balance patches are, at least for now, for what we can tell, it can change, but it's going to be mostly just about getting the game into a fun place and then mixing up the meta every once in a while, but not nearly as severe. So you can kind of look to this next balance patch and recognize that it's not nearly as severe as the previous one, right? Which flat out took out the mothership core and put in shield batteries and stuff like that. So there's probably not going to be as much drastic change like that, because the game is in this amazing place where it's mostly pretty darn balanced. There are some races, I would say, Terran, that has some problems maybe, and they're going to get some addressed stuff with the balance patches, but that's kind of expected. And that's the dangerous stuff to talk about. That like I have to check my email while you guys are talking and make sure I'm not fired. But let's go down the line. Let's talk a little bit about the future of StarCraft, and I want you to relate to it personally, but also whatever you want to share at this point in time. Nate, what about for you, man? Moving forward, StarCraft 2019, Nathanias, what are your thoughts?
Well, this patch is like the holy grail dream come true as a Terran player, just because I've already been building battlecruisers, and I used to build a lot of Cyclones before they took them out back and did whatever they did that brought back the unit we've had for the last 2 years. Thank God that's going away. But yeah, I'm excited for more war chest stuff. I'm excited for co-op to keep getting attention. I'm also very excited. I brought this up personally, face-to-face, to the guy at the very top of StarCraft's dev team, and he told me they are literally using the war chest funds to pick up Australia and put it right off the coast of California.
Oh, wow.
So it's tremendous. Activision Blizzard is doing this.
That's huge news.
It's going to solve a lot of problems for them, but they're also doing it just for me, so
wow.
Couldn't be more excited.
I think it's going to be interesting how that meshes with American society, because they are fond of the C word. And in 2019, I don't see that going very well. But they'll adapt, as they always do, those Australians.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
So other topics will come up, but Nate, you're just excited about co-op, you're excited about StarCraft, and
yeah, I mean, I play everything in StarCraft. I mean, I've been a big asker about like the building skin stuff. I do wonder how they'll balance that out, because I obviously still want new unit skins too. But
well, let me get even more personal with you. What's your philosophy? Because like we saw you do a lot of hosting in 2018 for WCS and stuff like that. But then at BlizzCon, you were a caster. And there's a lot of there's always at every event there's people like, I want to see Nate casting, that kind of thing. Where are you landing on this? Are you going to shift things up in 2019, or are you just whatever you want or whatever they want?
I really don't know. Hosting is nice. StarCraft for me doesn't like the event side of stuff. I prefer to do, because I do like playing StarCraft, but obviously I get very heated playing it and streaming it all the time, and I get burned out worse than other people. You could say. Doing event stuff has always been more fun. So I've been trying to fill my time with more gigs, whether there's StarCraft or something else. So hosting is good for that. It makes me an easier sell to do more, variety type projects. But casting, I'm hoping I can do it for a few events. I'm really happy I got to cast at BlizzCon. There was a scenario where I could have ended up hosting for it, but weirdly enough, everything just kind of like worked out in like a cool way. I don't really know. I have absolutely no idea what I'll be doing, whether it be hosting or casting next year. Probably end up hosting stuff just because, but I do hope I get to cast occasionally. Like Challenger this year was really good. Doing that with you and Ravi was like, that's my only fix until BlizzCon, to actually cast at a big stage again.
Okay. Well, we'll go around, but I'm going to go to Neuro now. Neuro, your stream. I mean, you know this better than anybody, but it started off the year as I would say, a middling StarCraft 2 stream. You're doing well, obviously, but not super amazing. But you've put in such incredible work. You've networked really well, and you've grown it to a really fantastic stream. And so this was a big year for you. 2019, the sky's the limit. What are you thinking?
I think where I am and where StarCraft is, we're almost at the end of the valley, if you will, where Wings was a massive peak for StarCraft and HOTS had a bit of a lull, but now we're having to actualize with growth again, where there's no more worry about, I don't know if I have to switch games next year and stream something else. We're killing it right now. And people are noticing that. And one of the differences between StarCraft 2 and all these other flavor of the month games is it's moving toward a classic game, not just a video game, but like chess and Go, where Blizzard has created an RTS that is in that slot of this format of competition. Nothing else is going to catch up to this. Like, how could you? It's too polished, it's too balanced, it's too fun and too good. So my quest for 2019 is making that approachable and available to new players. When I went to TwitchCon and I'm talking to people about, oh yeah, I'm a StarCraft streamer, they're like, whoa, like that's a really hard and daunting game. It's too fast for me. Where I've been doing subcasting on Saturdays, and I love silver games. They're hilarious and awesome. So you can enjoy StarCraft at any level of skill. The game is better than ever. look, Cyril just won. That means you could have been born when StarCraft 1 came out and be the world champion when you're in adulthood. So there's never a wrong time to get in. The scene is fresh. It's vibrant. Hype levels are really high. Like you said before, the dead game meme is far behind us. We're crushing it. So 2019 is going to be even better. Just wait.
So you're pumped.
Just you wait.
Keep the course. You're not going to change things up too much, is what you're saying?
I am interested in maybe talent opportunities. I got the chance to hang out with Artosis, Tasteless, and Kalaris. Love all of them, by the way. But they were talking with me about what it's like to be talent for those events. That's been something that's on the idea stage for me, and I feel like it would give a lot of visibility for a lot of the principles and the presentation that I stand for as a person. So
very cool.
That's a potential thing.
Poggers.
Before I introduce some subjects on this matter, KatZ, you are an entrepreneur, a team owner. You're churning out a lot of content. What are your thoughts about moving forward 2019?
I think the future is bright for StarCraft. As a team owner, we want to expand a little bit in StarCraft, kind of rebuild maybe the competitive side of things. We had, as competitors, a weak year. As a team in the space as a whole, I'm extremely happy because, Neuro's on my team. So how could I not be? And Vive and just other people that are doing amazing. So, Sir Girl, there's been a lot of growth in StarCraft, and you can feel it even from within the team. Is my point. I think that we should be positive about things, and to the point that everyone's touched on, I have an article called "Some Things Can't Die" that just kind of talks about a lot of the points that people tend to bring up when they ask, like, is it too late to get into StarCraft and stuff like that, with the hopes that people just, that there's a place that people can direct others when these questions are asked. And I try to close off or close on most of those questions and how they might be best answered. So, but I do want to say, to me, one of the few negatives is actually that the game is headed towards that point where it doesn't want to be tinkered with. Mm-hmm. And I think this show is like a good place to start discussions around why that may not be the best course of action for StarCraft, because that Blizzard's watching, because that people's voice counts. So yeah, if you are on the same camp that I am, I urge you to let Blizzard know that it's probably better to keep, from my perspective, it's better for the game to keep changing rather than heading towards a perfect balance state, which is, in my opinion, unattainable.
I agree. If I could say something about that, the first time that they did a big patch, my conversation with Blizzard was how they're like, well, this isn't something, like, what I was told privately was that it wasn't something that they were like sure they really ever wanted to do again, because people were naturally very scared. People are scared of change, and it was the first time something like this had ever happened in StarCraft, and the results of it were awesome. Not even if it balance was really bad for like the first month or two after. Most things got ironed out a bit before we got back into GSL, before we got back into WCS. But being able to freshen things up is one of the most important things that you can do in a game, even if it's nothing huge. Just putting out new content, skins and whatnot. It doesn't need to be massive balance changes, but I do hope that they recognize a lot of this growth. If this was the same game as it was 3 years ago and they barely made any changes, this level of growth, even with free-to-play, would not have been similar. It's one of the most talked about things. People come in and like, oh, this looks different. Or, for example, as someone who has like a lot of Terrans that watch, a lot of people are waiting for the 20th or whatever the next season when the changes come. People are just waiting for that. They're like, well, this is going to fix all the problems that I have. I'll be able to do different stuff. And I think it's important to keep that in mind, that's what keeps the people who aren't crazy hardcore, which is such a small portion of people that actually care about balance. People will talk about balance all the time, but the number of people it actually affects, who seriously care about it, really dictates.
Tiny, yes.
Those people.
And they will make more money and they will profit more from the game growing anyway. So they'll be happy. They just won't know that they will be happy.
Yeah. There is a counterpoint that was brought up, though, in that every time the game is changed in this way, there's effectively a new meta. So if you drop the game for a while and come back, it's going to be pretty different in terms of what you're going to face. So there is an advantage of stability in terms of you could probably pick it up.
Yeah, we don't change command centers into like nuke silos or whatever. But if a couple of units,
or maybe we do,
you know. And you still looks like StarCraft. The game still looks like StarCraft. You're like, oh well, there's some skins. Well, that unit's a bit different. That's a new unit. I think the game is still recognizable to old players, but people are like, oh, you don't need to research siege mode. Oh, that's cool. You know, that's like an example of something that's not earth-shattering for someone. Or, oh, BCs can shoot while moving. No one's going to come back after 5 years and be like, I don't even know what this game is anymore.
I can't remember who said it at the summit, but someone made a really good point where, because we could just kind of flat out see the graph, the interest in StarCraft peaks around releases of stuff. So an inexpensive way to do that is a big balance patch where you're not having to do you don't need to do StarCraft 3 or Legacy of the 5 or whatever the fuck you're going to do. You just say, we're dropping this here, we're adding this amazing thing, or we're doing this huge balance thing. You're going to be excited about the Ultralist. It's got these cool abilities, and if it gets 10 kills, it does this thing. You know, the crazy shit that, again, every pro gamer is going to say, this is terrible, I hate it. And that's because they will say that about anything that's drastically changing.
Literally anything.
Yes.
And I'm not even trying to necessarily demonize them. It's their prerogative to argue that. The thing
and even
is,
within pro gamers, you'd be surprised.
But
a lot of them do want change. A lot of them will favor change, actually. Maybe not the most vocal ones, but like a lot of them are for change. I promise you. Like at least maybe 50% at least. And yeah, one thing with this, I promise you, as with most people that happen with, or things about people that happen within a range, right? Like you're gonna have someone that just doesn't like change at all, and someone that likes too much change, where it's probably where I sit at, right? Like whenever something new comes out, I'm like, oh, I can go figure this out. This is fun. And then there's someone that's like about what David Kim's team called mastery, right? Which is the art of iteration and stability so that you can perfect things to a greater degree, right? And there is a beauty to that too. And you can see it, for example, in games like Brood War. But the argument that I would make is that StarCraft as a game has been through so much change that the people that are still in the game don't mind it as much, right? Whereas if you changed Brood War, everyone in Brood War would be like, what the fuck are you doing, right?
Yeah, but they're all at retirement homes and stuff like that, so you can barely hear them. Anyways, I agree with what you guys are saying. I think that we could probably have a whole other topic debating this, and I'll have to find somebody that's against it, but which will be like 85% of programmers. Cats? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so that's interesting, and that is a point of conjecture. I will tell you from Blizzard's side, without, I don't speak on their behalf necessarily, but this was like the thought they approached to, and then we kind of gave them a lot of feedback of like, please don't. Change is exciting. It's really good for the game. They wrote it all down. They were very awesome about it. They were like, okay, well, we're not closed off to anything, So if that is something you want or don't want, make sure to vocalize that, and we'll get to a subject in a second about the appropriate ways of doing that, but not in a mean way. The other couple things I want to talk about in the future of StarCraft, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts about it too, and this is where Cero comes back again. I, as a WCS guy, cannot wait for the storylines of next year. And I'm not just saying that because Apollo paid me $25 to use the word storylines. I'm saying it because it's real. Like, I think there is a bounty on the head of Cyril, and all of fucking Korea needs to cash in on that. They need to beat him. They need to show that they can beat him. And I think there's, for the first time ever, and this has happened, some of your favorite movies has this scene where the bully gets punched in the fucking face, and then the dynamic changes, and it's interesting. And all of a sudden, there's a like, well, what do they do? Korea, they are a proud nation of people that StarCraft's a part of their identity. Like the few times they've taken losses, it's been like their fans get vulgar, which I'm not encouraging per se, but like it's important to them. So if you don't think that that's true, just take my word for it. As a guy that's been around StarCraft since literally its infancy, I would tell you this means a lot. And Cyril didn't just like passively luck box his way to the great matchups and win everything. He beat everyone that came up in front of him, and he made some people look bad. He made SOS and Zest look like trash tier Protoss players. He destroyed them. And then Stats, he almost made him look terrible, but Stats fought back a little bit, only to then get choked out in the, 5th round, or no, 6th round. It was
6th.
but it was like if it was an MMA fight, it was an arm bar that lasted 17 minutes. The other guy's arm actually broke, and then he used his broken bone to like choke him, and then he actually passed out. Like he just would not tap out. It was not a close match the entire time. There was like a moment there where we're like, well, kind of. We're like, no, I guess not at all. Yeah, there's the face, Neuro. Thank you. You're picturing that pretty good. So that's huge, and the storylines moving forward are going to be massive. The other storyline that kind of just tags along with that is, can Cyril keep it up? And I'm going to call it that because it's like a innuendo as well. But like, does he just go on and win in Katowice? Does he just go on and win all the WCS stops?
Can I share a quote when I talked to him personally about this? So DreamHack Austin, I was there with him where he faces off against Mana in the finals. And that was a really awesome story for Mana, who has been a career pro gamer for a really long time. And he had a really strong point early in his career and then kind of faded somewhat and then really surprised everyone at DreamHack Austin. And I asked him about that of, a lot of times people have a peak and then they kind of get complacent. They continue the career, but they're not excelling. And he just stopped me, interrupted, and said, "You think that's going to happen to me?" So he does have that awareness of the way that careers change over time, but he has a lot of fire. You can see it in the way that his mannerism when he's in the chair playing the game in the tournament. He's kind of got what Jaedong had, I think, with a little bit of the anger, a little bit of the "I'm going to mess you up" kind of attitude.
Yep.
And
so, it'll be tough.
Just imagine that. Just paint the picture, like Challenger, whatever it ends up being called, whatever it is next year, whatever the first actual competition for WCS becomes. You know that Cyril is going to be there in some capacity. Everybody is going to be like, is he going to drop a map? Is he going to sweep it like he did at the end of last year?
Yeah.
If someone takes a map, what happens, right? What happens if he doesn't qualify? What some crazy thing happens, And just that alone is just, I'm already excited to see what happens when everything starts. Forget the big tournaments now.
Yeah.
Like, and that is what drives the interest. And I mean, Rainer is another player who, if he had been able to perform the way that he did at the two events he was able to go to all year long, maybe would have been BlizzCon, and we could have had
finals.
Could have been a whole other crazy freaking story, And those are just two things, right? And everybody else, this is what these players being in WCS is what motivates everybody else, right? You have like that empowering effect on everyone else who's like, well, I need to step up my game. I need to, show these people that I'm still supposed to be a top foreigner, where a lot of those players kind of really got pushed to the side this year.
Yeah. So you have Koreans in Korea, like Jeff mentioned, and they're, that's a storyline for them and for people looking at them coming into Katowice or whatever the first mix event is, right? And it would be awesome to be honest, for them to take the crown back to Korea. But what BlizzCon does for me, and this is why I was saying maybe we don't change the region lock now, is that players can get legitimized as players by beating Cyril, who plays on their system. Whereas before, you could beat everyone in WCS and it didn't mean anything, right? You had to go to GSL, Raynor beat Classic. Okay, let's put that in a fucking news. Let's put that in a newspaper, right?
You can say
because it's big news. I can say, okay, cool.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Oh, great.
Well, not,
Okay, yeah.
Which terms of service? That's our bumpers.
Right. So the cool thing for the WCS system now is that they can actually steal fame from Cyril.
Yeah.
And actually get legitimized as players, and their wins will mean something because Cyril's in the system.
And instant mega fame, by the way, because Cyril isn't god tier status, which we haven't had at this level. Like if Raynor at whatever WCS stop actually beats him, then it's like it's earth shattering. All of a sudden, it's a big deal, and I like that point, KatZ. It's a really good one.
Yeah, it's like he created this ball of energy, Cyril, at BlizzCon, and he took it and he has it with him, and you can steal from it, and it's great. All the attention's on him.
If Cyril has another year, even close to what he had this year, he will be the first StarCraft 2 millionaire in prize earnings.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Which, we went into this year, and the biggest earner was like, is Jaedong or somebody, like 650,000 or whatever. A lot of that was Brood Wars, that kind of stuff. So he's actually not that far off of just being the biggest prize winner. But for me, $1 million is a big deal because the only people really on that list are a bunch of Dota guys that
This is kind of connected to another question of, is Cyril at the highest StarCraft 2 level of all time? If the community has been improving over the years, and he is winning now, does that make him the best of StarCraft 2?
I would tell you yes. And I know I'm a big fanboy and you think I'm biased, but I'm not. I don't have a horse in the race. Like, I'm not on the same team as Cyril or anything like that. I've watched all the StarCraft you can watch. Honestly, he's so all-encompassing is the part that makes him the best ever. Like, his defense, his offense, his coolness under pressure, the way he goes into a series, all of it. He's the best. He's the best ever. We'll have to have a whole show about that. We can talk about that. Maybe, well, next year. Episode 100 or whatever. Another one I want to drop, and I know I'm the hype man, but bear with me for a second. This is actually, I got sold on this at the summit, but this year, probably, we don't have a date for sure, DeepMind is going to be taking on StarCraft 2. And this is, so for people that don't know, you can Google it, you can YouTube it. DeepMind took on AlphaGo. Well, it took on Go, rather, the game. And the world event that kind of happened around that, hundreds of thousands of people on stream, millions of people reading articles. It was we're talking about I mean, there's going to be people in the chat like, Jeff, Go is the best game ever. Shut up for a second, okay? Go is a fucking peg game that's like this weird, silly board game that's been around for 1,000 years. And it got world attention for the first time ever because a goddamn artificial intelligence took it on. That is going to happen this year to StarCraft 2, and it's going to be massive. It's going to be bigger than 2012 StarCraft 2. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that for the entire year, every event has 250,000 people watching and stuff like that. But what I do mean is around this singular event, and who knows how long that'll last, you will have the New York Times, ESPN, NBC, ABC, like global news. You're going to have everything looking in on this. You're going to have Tom Brokaw across from Day 9 with his arm hair hanging out of his like shirt that says like Day 9 Nights or whatever. And he's going to be like, talk to me about StarCraft 2 taking on a computer. And you're like, well, Tom Brokaw, this is going to be one of the biggest events, and it's going to be like that kind of a thing. There's going to be people like, it should have been fucking Day 9. I love that he's there. This is so great. There's going to be Ellen DeGeneres is going to have goddamn like Rotterdam come on, and nobody will understand a word he's saying. They're all going to ask why he's high. They're going to be like, that's ridiculous that he smoked weed before going on Ellen DeGeneres. But he'll be there. It's going to happen.
I want to talk to Stephen Colbert.
You have him. You can have him, okay? I will be on the late night show, and I'll make one Nazi joke, and it's so stupid that people react this way, but I will be fired from everything and sequestered away to Hawaii or retire. But...
Do me.
CatZ will finally connect with his people, and they will have a Day of the Dead, but it'll be like the Day of the Living StarCraft instead. And
it is a really cool thing.
It's big.
Like, the growth of that is awesome. I mean, as AI algorithms and stuff improve and their ability to learn, that shit is starting to affect a lot of different things behind the scenes, and like how search engine optimization works, people being able to find information they need. Personal assistance is like one thing, but now it's becoming a thing with like vehicles, being able to learn how people drive and what makes people do what and all that stuff. Like,
you're being really optimistic
AI is super cool. Well, I'm just saying AI in general is a really big topic because it's starting to plant itself in all aspects of modern life.
It's how we die, by the way. It's the end of the world. That's I'm just going to say it right now. We're all going to die to AI, and I'm not even joking. Like, it's actually going to happen, but it's also inevitable. Like, you can be against it, but it's just going to happen. There's no Cyberdyne. And even, you know what did Terminator teach us? Even if you blow up Cyberdyne, it still fucking happens, so it doesn't even matter.
Can't get rid of the internet, man. No. Once it's in there, you're done.
Yeah, but let's have it play StarCraft first. And maybe maybe it gets locked up in there. It's like, Jesus Christ.
So discourages it.
I want it to be Unleashed on the Ladder, and I want it to deal, like, it's the same thing where they had, like, the AI from Google or whatever. You could, like, tweet at it and teach it stuff, and people just people taught it racism and like terrible shit. They had to take it down because they're like, you guys are monsters. I would love it if it goes on the ladder and it comes out and it's just like, goddamn Protoss. And you're like, well, it learned. But that's going to be big. So joking aside, I know I said a lot of jokes there, but this is absolutely massive. Blizzard is super excited about it. I know that for a lot of our viewers, they're going to be like, yeah, whatever. But just hear me out. Like, joking aside, it's going to put us on the world stage more so than ever.
Can I explain the process of that hype real quick?
Yes.
From the neuro angle? Okay, so neuroscience is the study of how the brain works and how the mind works. Did you know that we do not have a theory of mind yet? We don't have a theory of consciousness and how it works because it's hard to study the brain. It's encased in a skull, and if you break the skull, you kill the person. So this deep mind StarCraft stuff is about learning more about the limitations of human intelligence. How smart are we, and in what ways are we smart, and how does that relate to things we can build to compete with us? So that's just one more basic checkpoint in this quest of machine versus man. How far can we go with our minds? How far can AI go? And the world wants to know because that has implications for all of us, not just the competitors. It tells us something about ourselves, which makes it very, very relatable and interesting to see, is StarCraft just that game where the AI can't beat us yet? That adds a whole bunch of excitement. And I feel like the announcement didn't really capture that allure, that sentiment of we are humans and the implications of this apply to everyone. But heck yeah, that's going to be awesome.
So get hyped. We don't have a date, like I said, and the only reason I can even talk about this is they did talk about this in the Future of Starcraft 2 panel. And they've been talking about it for a little bit, so I hope I didn't share anything that I wasn't supposed to. But I am mega pumped. It's going to be amazing. And you know what? I'll tell you right now, I'll do everything I can to get DeepMind interviewed on the Pylon show. We'll have our first talk with an AI. And then they can...
Hell yeah.
Wouldn't that be awesome? KatZ already did it. Why can't we, you know?
Your builds are suboptimal.
Your show is not very good. I'm like, get off my show! All right.
If you lost, it was your fault.
Reality. So that's the Future of StarCraft. We're all really pumped. We're all really hyped. It's good to hear from you guys that you're still, mega motivated to keep it going. For me personally, the obvious Pylon show will go as far as we can take it. So Dan and I don't have any we're terminating it in mid-December. In fact, I would tell you for the immediate future of StarCraft 2, my plan is to have a drunken episode, a seasonal. We'll call it seasonal because that's more professional. A seasonal adult episode of the Pylon show sometime in December.
That sounds cool.
There's too many great guests to have on, so maybe we'll do a rotation or something, but people of legal age who will consent in adult beverages will be on.
If you do a rotation, though, you and Dan are going to get destroyed, and everyone else is just going to pass by you.
Well, we'll have to be, reasonable about it. We'll see. We'll leave it to Zombie Grub to get really destroyed, because that's kind of what she does. So, moving on to the next topic. This one to me... Oh, okay, no. Okay, no, this topic. Social media presence for streamers. Neuro, is this the one you grabbed?
Heck yes, it is.
Why don't you introduce it to us then?
Okay, so I met with guests at TwitchCon, and they were talking about what makes the big streamers so gosh dang huge. And a big part of it, and one of the mysterious things for all of us, is how do we grow our brand and establish ourselves and make our brand really distinct? So... think of the big four. We've got twitch.tv, that's usually our home base. YouTube is a place where we build content people can browse at their leisure. Twitter is completely necessary. It's how we network and communicate with what's going on. And then Instagram is kind of building the aesthetic of your brand and how all of those are really, really crucial. One thing that I didn't think about, but this guest contact talked to me about, was you want to think about your unique new viewer who just sees your page and they have the opportunity to check your social media links. They should be able to know what your flavor is within maybe 3 posts on Twitter and Instagram, a couple YouTube videos, and a few moments of your stream. For me personally, I feel like I know what my brand is, I know what Neuro is, but it's really scattered, where there are certain parts of my content that if you've watched me for a long time, you know that's a part of what I do. But if you're just checking in for the first time, you may have no idea because I don't happen to do it at the time. So thinking about that from the streamer's perspective can go a really long way. It's not one of those things that's going to immediately net you money, but it's one thing that sponsors take a really hard look at and new viewers can use to kind of delve into the lore of the history of your channel. as well, where if they want to go through a bunch of tweets or a bunch of Instagram posts or a bunch of YouTube videos, that's presented in a way that's very palatable, polished, and sharp.
I like it. And this is of course an interesting conversation. I feel like part of what makes this conversation difficult is because with social media, for a lot of people, it can become, it feels like something they have no control over almost, which is funny because it's quite the opposite in a lot of ways. But I think the easy knockoff that a lot of people have when you discuss social media is they're like, I'm trying as best I can, right? Everyone would say that, or to some degree, maybe not the best they can, but they're like, well, I can't get much more. What do you think, Nate and KatZ? Go ahead.
Another aspect of it too is being able to, in the same way that StarCraft players study replays of people who are better, people who are streamers studying other streamers who are doing those aspects better than yourself. There isn't really a shortage of like who is way ahead of you in the streaming scene and what are they doing differently. It doesn't mean you need to betray the essence of your brand. It means that you need to understand what that polish is and how it works. KatZ.
Oh, what's the question then? Because
we're talking about the importance of social media presence for.
I completely agree. Yeah, you have to know who you're talking to, but at the same time, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's different approaches that you can take depending on what you want to do. Like for me, I kind of just want to say what I want to say, and I recognize that might dilute my brand in the long run, right? If it would probably be better to be consistent just in general, right? I think consistency is the most important thing if you want to grow a brand. Yeah.
We did talk about this in a little bit greater depth during the rectangular table discussion at the Hilton.
What do you think, Nate? Any comments on social media?
Brand stuff is crazy important. Like if you keep track, and this is probably the most interesting thing, just for me as a streamer, what I do. Almost never get any comments on like you can comment on Twitch videos, by the way. That's like a thing. Chat is very chat, right? You don't really get like constructive feedback. Usually it's someone being like, hey, they want to talk, they're talking to each other, or someone just comes in to, try and troll or antagonize or whatever. I make regular tweets about going live and whatnot. Those get medium to low-ish traction. It's nothing crazy. I do Instagram posts. I try to do those somewhat regularly. Those engage. And my Instagram is my smallest thing. It's like my Instagram and my Facebook are my smallest things. My Facebook is literally a conduit for my Twitter. The only thing it posts there, it just imports every single tweet that I make. And those two things destroy the amount of engagement I get anywhere else. Like the amount of replies that I'll get, like the amount of like DMs I'll get. I'll post a story about going for a walk in the morning on my like Instagram story, and I'll get like 4 people asking me like what kind of coffee I'm drinking or like the weather. They'll just be like, "Yo, like what do you think of blah 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 Sarah winning?" And my Facebook is just dumb because it's like the place I put the least amount of attention. But for some reason, maybe it's because StarCraft's an older audience. I don't know. I get insane. I get way more comments and messages there on my tweets than I do on like a platform like Twitter. Or when I try to ask an actual question like while I'm streaming, and because the live platform is good for some things, but being able to have those areas are like it's important, and it's something that like there are people who are like, yes, Nate, like I only tuned in because you like Snapchatted that you were going live today. Being able to use all these platforms is really important, even if you don't have as big of an audience. I don't have 70,000 plus followers anywhere but Twitch, but when I make my posts in areas that are more popular in general, like in Instagram, the engagement is so much better. And that really helps build the audience because a ton of people use these applications as well.
It's interesting because there is so much social media. It's funny too. They lend themselves to each other, obviously, but it has to, and not has is too strong a word, but I think at least at our level, it really benefits to seem organic and natural about it. I think another good example is like Rotterdam has a very good social media thing. Not as much on Twitter. Like a lot of his tweets won't get hundreds of likes or whatever. He obviously does get that. And he does tweet that he's going live, but that too, same thing as Nate and myself and everybody else. Not the most engagements, but he's huge on like Snapchat. Like he's done such a good job over the last couple of years of like, if you're a sub to him or even if you just follow his channel, he will interact with you on that. And that has created a pretty loyal fan base or viewer base of people that will check him out. And then, of course, he then says, well, check out my Instagram, and here's my Twitter, and it all kind of feeds itself, which is interesting. But I've noticed a lot of people, unless you have a massive fan base like a Shroud or Summit or some of these guys, where they'll literally just be like, yo, bitches, what's up? Go follow my Instagram, fuck it. And then like 700 people will then like their Instagram, just because that many people are like, yeah, fuck it. He told me to do it. I'll fucking
fuck it.
type it in here. Whereas for us, I feel, if I make my stream title, because I've tried this a few times, because for me, Twitter is so important. I try to grow it really strongly. So if I'm like, hey, follow me on Twitter, there's a whole bunch of people. And what's also funny, too, is like the different time zones. Europeans do not use Twitter nearly as much as Americans for whatever reason. And I don't have that number in front of me, but it just seems that way, at least in StarCraft. So if I'm like, hey, did you see my tweet or whatever? Or like I talk about it on Twitter, people are like, no, I don't use Twitter. You stupid bitch. I'm on Facebook. And you're like, well, I also post on Facebook. And, and then they just don't respond. But the point is, like, you have to play to your strengths as well, I guess. And not have, again, that's too strong a word, but I suggest that you do.
To the audience, too. Like, I feel like depending on where you are, they use different media, right? So.
Yep. And things come and go, right? Like, there's a lot of people. Twitter's like, at this point in time, kind of funnily enough, a little bit older. Like, the newest generation is more on Instagram, is actually something that I've been told a lot more. Which is different for me, because when I was coming up in gaming, it was all about Twitter. Like, if you had to have a big Twitter following.
Yes.
One reminder, too, for people who are interested in growing their own brand and stuff, this was Destiny's point during our discussion, was you should be doing things that you can sustain over time. And like Kat said, be consistent with, rather than trying to carbon copy the patterns of someone who's already really successful. It should be something that makes sense for you, that is true to yourself, and also doesn't push yourself to the point where you hate the process.
I think that's super strong advice. It's not even, that advice is just good in general. It is, of course, applicable to social media, but I think almost in general, I mean, for us at least as professional gaming people, but I could see this being important everywhere, obviously. Enjoying what you do is the like X factor that I feel like carries you over to building something successful. If you don't like what you're doing, but you're like, fuck it, it pays the bills, there's gonna come a time where the fact that you don't like it is actually gonna be what holds you back. So try. I know that there's gonna be a person in the chat who's like, I pour cement and I have 3 kids and a wife. Like, I don't have the luxury of enjoying what I do, you snobby son of a bitch. And I get that. And that is a luxury that some of us have that others do not. So don't think for a second I'm disrespecting that. But if you are in a position, if you're a young person and you're like setting your life forward, don't become an architect because your dad made you, told you that you have to be an architect because it makes a lot of money. Please do what makes you fucking happy.
I actually almost became an architect because my parents forced me to. And then I dropped out because it was like, hey, I don't actually enjoy this.
You ever heard of a successful Peruvian architect, anybody? Yeah, so.
God.
No, but honestly, I haven't, but I'm sure there are some.
There are buildings in Peru, for sure.
I can't make any more jokes. That's my one pseudo-racist joke that I can make, and I have to dial it back and then just make fun of myself to make up for it. Yeah, social media. Any other thoughts on that, Neuro, that we didn't?
No, that about covered it. If you want to talk more about it, it's in the video.
Okay, there's a video, and you had that was part of the discussion you had, right, with the roundtable people. Very cool. All right, so this there's 2 more subjects, but this one is the more. No, I'm not going to say it. This one's just as interesting as the other one. Feedback/outrage. So to lay down the groundwork for this, and the reason why this is a subject, is something happened at BlizzCon, and I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. And if you hear me describing something and you're like, you're telling me what's right or wrong, I'm not trying to. But I feel like there is an interesting discussion around this. So Diablo Immortal is announced at BlizzCon. People going into this were told that Diablo as a brand was coming out with a big announcement. It was a big game. They didn't necessarily know that that was going to be Diablo Immortal. And I'll get into the specifics of why I think that was a mistake in a second. But at BlizzCon, on stage, we all watched it. It was a part of the opening announcement, I think. They announced Diablo Immortal, which is a mobile version of a game that covers the storyline between Diablo 2 and 3. And it's produced by a company called NetEase, which is a Chinese developer. They made games that were already very similar to Blizzard artwork. For all intents and purposes, everyone that's played it that I spoke to at least or heard from at BlizzCon enjoyed it. It's a good game, but all the coverage for this, all the the Reddit thread hit record numbers of downvotes or just typing F in there. The videos they've uploaded and taken down something like 5, 6, or at this point in time maybe more, because they were getting hundreds of thousands of downvotes. It's a huge topic on Twitter. It's a huge topic everywhere, and all of it is very much so wrapped around the idea that Blizzard goofed. People are very, very upset. So that's what happened. What I want to talk about and why it relates to StarCraft is, first of all, well, that's a little bit too far-reaching to go into, but I will just say they had like a panel at BlizzCon, and a guy, his question was, is this an April Fool's joke? He asked the developers. And that went a little bit viral because that's like very forward.
Brutal.
Very, very savage to say to the developers on there. They didn't handle it very well, I would say. They started asking weird questions like, do you own a phone? Or, you know, we thought you'd be excited about this and stuff like that. And it got kind of weird. But this has been huge. You cannot go anywhere in gaming and not hear about this debacle. So I wanted to talk about the appropriate ways to vent and talk about what upsets you in terms of gaming and what you are owed or not owed, as it were, and what's effective. And not from the perspective of you don't have the right to be mad, by the way, but more how you use your anger. And the reason why that relates to StarCraft is we've had a lot of outrage in StarCraft 2 as well. And there probably is more in the future for you in terms of other things that Blizzard is going to develop and come out with. And you can be upset about it and talk about it in a way that doesn't also single you out as like a monster, basically. And you'll get the same results. That's the part that I feel like is the weirdest part for people, is they're like, no. When I sent them that video of my kid pooping on the game and then me swearing into the camera that I'll never play another Blizzard game, it has the same result as me, you know, calmly explain to them why I'm really disappointed and I won't be buying their products. No, they don't watch that video.
The thing that
your family does.
Built up the energy for the anger of it was Blizzard saying that the announcement was big, which it technically was big, but it wasn't for the people who are going to BlizzCon and want a big announcement, who are already entrenched in Diablo universe. Because this is going to expand the player base to a bunch of people who play more mobile games than PC games, which is technically awesome. But for the people who were going to BlizzCon, I asked a lot of them, they were like, oh, it's a big announcement. It's either going to be D2 Remastered or D4. And they're just like super hyped about those two things. And they're like, all right, as long as it's one of these, I'm going to be super hyped. And then something over there. And they're like, oh, what? So it was a big project. It was a big thing, but it wasn't what they wanted. And I feel like they could have just asked, like, take a random sample of 1,000 people who are big into Diablo and be like, if we told you there was going to be a big announcement, what do you think it would be?
I think I doubt that there's going to be anyone, because I fully agree with you. I think the big mistake that Blizzard made was, it's this weird new age too of learning how to announce a mobile game, right? Like hardcore fans, I think no matter how good the game is, if it's attached to an IP and it's made out to be this big announcement, they're going to be upset. PC gamers, right? Any mobile game, has it been well received by PC gamers? And I guess the only examples you can really use, because they've been using the IP, is Diablo Immortal and then CNC, the mobile game that Nate and I did some coverage for and stuff, right? Like, again, that's a good game. People that play it, they like it. They enjoy it. But because they were told that Command & Conquer was getting this big new treatment and then they find out it's a mobile game, I think that was the mistake. So I agree with you. I think if Blizzard, way before BlizzCon, says, we're developing a mobile Diablo game, it's pretty cool.
They should have leaked it. That's what they should have done.
Well, it's not the big announcement. They just are like, we're making this game. It's going to be awesome. And then at BlizzCon,
but you want to say it is a big announcement, right? Like you want to, like it's a big deal for them. It's just like Neuro said, it's the wrong audience. It's never going to play well with PC gamers, right? We're the hardcore PC gamers, basically.
Yeah, I just feel like the BlizzCon stage is not. There's no mobile gamers there that's not where you make your mobile game announcement.
This was already done well this year at E3. Bethesda announced some mobile game of Elder Scrolls that I haven't met anybody that cares. I still don't know anything about it. I don't know when it's coming out. They did this whole big thing They wasted a ton of time on this presentation. They even got like, I think one of like the Apple conferences to show it and talk about it for like augmented reality or whatever. But they at the same time were like, by the way, if you like Elder Scrolls and you're upset with the fact that we haven't released a game since Skyrim back when you were in high school, we are going to make another one. It's very far away. You have not been left behind. And even EA came out like a month or two ago or whatever, and they were like, by the way, this should have, I mean, obviously they should have announced it with the mobile game, but they're like, we're going to remaster the old Command and Conquers. You are getting something. We appreciate your passion or whatever. But from the perspective of someone who played thousands of hours of Diablo growing up, my name, Nathanias, was the name of my first paladin playing D2 when it came out, because that was like all my dad and I played. All I played with my brothers when I was a little kid on our small, like, compact PC. Diablo was how I got into anything Blizzard. It's why I played StarCraft. The sheer amount of disappointment that people like me felt with like Diablo 3, we have been dying for something that was anything like the games we grew up playing for forever. So this, you know, as someone who can kind of empathize with the very upset people, this was the worst possible way that they could have gone about this, because they did not even give us a hint that there was something else coming. And now there's all this like weird stuff where articles are like, well, they were going to do this with no confirmation, but there's a right way to do it. And there's a huge audience of people that like Diablo, and Diablo 3 was very poorly received by the hardcore people that played the game. There's a ton of people that are still burned from it. I have not touched D3 since I beat the campaign the first time, because I hated it. The game, I didn't enjoy it at all. And no amount of changes to that game is going to fix it. They need to announce something new or remaster the old thing and make a big deal about how they care about the hardcore base. So as one of those people, this is something I was very fired up about, as you can probably not tell. But there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. Everyone should just look at what Bethesda did. No one gave a crap about their mobile game, but no one raised any pitchforks about how they abandoned Elder Scrolls for it either.
Yeah. And the vast majority of people, I will say, did it the right way, by the way, too. So like downvoting a video, yep. Commenting in Reddit or tweeting at them and saying, I'm really disappointed this is not what I wanted. Yep. Not buying it, not going near it. Yep. That is a responsible consumer. That is someone that lets a brand know. And to me, the extra step is to reach out to them via threads and comments and stuff like that. So I think I probably mislabeled this topic, because it's not so much about the outrage being too bad, because I think most people did do it the right way, right? It's just the people that went super hyperbolic that got too much attention. But I like what Nate said, because I think part of the discussion of this that I find interesting is, if we're being brutally honest, I think Blizzard goofed. I think the way they did this was really bad. And also kind of the interesting thing is the PR that came out about it made them look, and this is like, it's really unfortunate because it's bad. It made them, like, the article started with saying like Blizzard forgot what a gamer is or something like that, and then it talked about how a lot of the devs came out and they're like, wow, we thought you guys would be really excited about this. Even if you think that, you can't say that when the reaction is so violently the other way. You cannot come out and be like, I didn't think they would do that. You have to be like, oh, I totally can see their concern. You cannot say the opposite.
Yeah, they just confuse the audience, it seems. But hey, what if this was all a setup? So they bring in a new president, they release like 2 years worth of mobile games, then Mike comes back out of nowhere.
Saves the game in a way.
200 IQ.
And then that's the next level play, right? If you're Blizzard. Yeah. Because these games will make money. Like, these games are appealing to a larger audience. It's just kind of almost turning on their audience, right? And it is timed with the new president. So I don't know. Maybe, what if that is the play?
So here's the conjecture, by the way, and I do not know this. I'm not sharing anything I know. This is 100% my opinion based off of like things I've seen and heard and talked to. But Dustin Browder, David Kim, they're working on a game, and it was not Diablo Immortal. It's another game. And the belief is that it is another mobile game. So is that StarCraft Immortal? I don't think so. If I had to guess, it's some kind of game that will compete with Clash of Clans type of thing, which is like all the fucking rage still. A gigantic mobile game, one of the most absolute biggest games played on planet Earth. Blizzard has like a responsibility to go after that. I hope that they learned from Diablo Immortal the right way to go about this, because there's no reason why that can't be a great game that people love and it does very well. But if you come out with Diablo Immortal and then your next big announcement is another mobile game, well, guess what? You just became a mobile game company. And
yeah,
I will say, I think that whatever this is should be way better received, simply because another thing that people also kind of gloss over a bit is that Blizzard Entertainment is not like actually making Diablo Immortal. They've given a lot of assets to NetEase to make this game. So if you're like, well, I want, a Blizzard tailored experience, that's not what you should be expecting going into this. Like, I'm sure it'll be a polished game. It's going to have a lot of Diablo stuff in it, but
a lot of quality.
I would have even given it like way more of a pass if they were like, look, our Diablo team has actually been working on trying to make a legit mobile game. It's going to have a bunch of new stuff. We're not going to be reusing a bunch of the old whatever. It's not going to look like we dumbed down Diablo 3 or whatever. And like just that is another thing as well. Whatever they're doing, I'm excited for it. I'm not bothered. I play mobile games, but I just if it's going to be a Blizzard game, I want to expect that Blizzard polish. They're working on it, being made by the people that I see and interact with and whatnot. Just
I think if they would have remastered Diablo 2, people would have been over the moon overall with BlizzCon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. The last point I want to make personally on this topic is that did they actually lose out on this being as big of a deal as people are making it out to be? I mean, we're discussing Diablo. We're making everyone aware that Diablo is coming. People are actually talking about it, right? And they aren't saying negative things about the game in itself. So I don't know, like, could this be a success even for Blizzard?
If you can't be famous, be infamous.
It's going to make them money. It's going to be a huge success. I mean, the whole point of this is Activision Blizzard as a company, as a stock that's publicly traded, they don't tap into that mobile market at the moment. Like, in the long run, profit-wise, the money's going to come pouring in.
What if this was their plan from the beginning?
That's what I'm saying. And then Mike comes back, and then everything's perfect.
I think the only thing is, for me, is someone that's worked alongside a lot of Blizzard people and just knows them. It just hurt them emotionally because they care so much about what they produce and what they like. They are a big company. They're not a mom and pop individual indie company. Like, they're massive, but they are a collection of people that take a lot of pride in what they do. And Diablo is one of their, it's one of their few top brands. They have these like 4 or 5 things, and that's what they do. And this was one of them. And it comes after Diablo 3, which was also kind of maligned. So it's not that their company's going to crash. They're not in danger. It's not the end of the world. It's just that it hurt to see it received that way. And I think for a lot of fans, like Nate said, he vocalized too, there's a giant fan base of Diablo fans. Like, if you go to that Reddit cast, you'll get a better picture of it. But there's like actually legions of people that are very upset. Very upset.
Yeah.
Yep.
So interesting, but please do take away from this as well the other opportunity I took in particular to say, please be level-headed consumers and give feedback and stand your ground and do what you believe in, but also not be a raving lunatic, because there was some weird Twitter discussions where some people are like, no, man, fuck them. They hurt us. I'm going to yell at them as much as I can. It's like, well, you can, but your message won't be heard. Like, you get whitewashed into a masses of people that are doing that. It does you no favor. So just take that, just try to do it. Moving into our last subject, and then we'll get into the Q&A and call this a show. Real quick, because none of us are StarCraft Remastered people for the most part, we did have some Brood War results going on. KSL Season 2 is well underway, or I believe, right? I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm doing the caster thing where I just say something. No, the quarterfinals are November 29th and 30th, so they're a ways down the road. Semifinals is in December, and the final will be in mid-December. But this is the one where we have some interesting players in there, like Action came back. Rain 3-1 Light. Some guy named Ware. I actually don't know who that is. He beat Action. Never mind. Sulky doing well again. Sulky's one of my favorite Zerg players. He's amazing. He streams, by the way. You can see it on Team Liquid. I think he streams on Africa, but his streams listed on Team Liquid. Really great stream to watch if you ever get the chance. And that's really cool. And then what's this? Is this ASL? Yep. Look at that handsome No Regret. He was all over that summit as well, representing the Team Unity and all those guys. Season 6 ended with the rivalry since 2010. Efforts, yeah, that was the big result. Effort actually, so this happened while we're at BlizzCon. Effort beat Flash. It's not in the bracket, but he did do that, I believe. Didn't he? What? Oh, he's versus Flash? I thought someone said he beat Flash. What the fuck?
Let's see. The chat will tell us. Effort beat Flash. Someone's Alessandro said.
Yeah, Effort beat Flash. Why is this
not updated?
This says it happens on 10/28. Oh, that's because that was last month. Yeah.
Effort 3-2. Someone said.
All right. So who set up Jeff to look silly right here? Fine. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Flash lost to Effort, which for us StarCraft 2 fans, I don't know that you guys can appreciate this, but Flash is like. He's beyond Cyril with his imbalance. Like at some leagues, he was considering playing other races. He was at the top of the ladder with his Terran and Protoss at one point. He's just this. It's kind of like Michael Jordan playing at like a kid's like 5 through 6 year old co-ed league, and he's just dunking on everybody. Well, one of those fucking 5-year-olds just dunked on Michael Jordan, and that's it doesn't happen. So. Those are the results. I apologize, guys. I don't watch a lot of StarCraft Remastered myself. One of the things I told them at the summit is that I want to get more excited about StarCraft Remastered, and I want content outside of Korea, because all of this happens at like 3:30 a.m. for me, so it's cool and all, but I'm a grown-ass man with an English bulldog that demands that I'm there to receive his farts. And, you know, at 3:30 a.m. I can't do that as well. So give me more StarCraft Remastered, non-Korean, get me more plugged in, and I will get more plugged in. That's it for the main topics. We're going to head into the Q&A segment. And I will say this is like 2 or 3 weeks of built-up Q&A, so even the priority Patreon questions, I'm going to blitz through them because these boys here, Nate's got to eat something, KatZ has to eat something, and Neuro has to run 20 miles or whatever he does at night. Fight crime, I assume. But as always, if you are interested in asking questions, especially for future shows as we get back into the swing of things, hit us up. The Patreon ones will get asked. I'll do the plugs at the end. Still Knocked says, if you were chosen by aliens and asked to show them one human accomplishment, what would you show them, Neuro?
Sorry, I missed the beginning. I had a Batman mask on.
Human accomplishments to be shown to aliens. What's the number one you would show to them?
I feel like you could go a pretty long way with classical orchestra performance.
Okay, incorrect answer. It's 2 girls, 1 cup. KatZ, what is your answer?
Oh my god!
Someone has to say Cyril, so I'll go with Cyril.
Cyril winning BlizzCon? Yeah. Nate, what would you show aliens?
Wayne's World.
You'd show them Wayne's World?
That's all I got.
That's it?
It's okay. That's what came to mind. That's what came to mind.
Okay. I would show them just some random video of a Russian couple raising a bear, basically.
Cool.
Like, KatZ, that's exactly the response I'm looking for. Just like a nod here. Cool. That's it. Some drunk Canadian says, Sarah winning the WCS Grand Finals of BlizzCon has to be one of the biggest stories ever for BlizzCon. What StarCraft 2 moments would you like to relive as if it was your first time experiencing it? Again, sending much love from the Great White North. KatZ, what do you want to experience?
What?
What StarCraft 2 experience do you want to experience? Again.
I don't know. Going to tournaments, just seeing people. Yeah. Maybe, I think that's...
MLGs, man. Those were good days. Those were fun.
Yeah, or the 20th anniversary was a great time for me. Or this just BlizzCon was great, yeah.
Nate, what about you, man?
I was trying to find the question in the Discord. What was it again?
Just basically, what StarCraft 2 moment would you like to relive?
StarCraft 2 moment? That's really weird. The best I've felt in StarCraft, like at an event, as far as I can remember, anywhere remotely recently, was Cyril winning.
Yeah, so, that was crazy. I
don't know if my body could handle a feeling like that again so soon. So MVP versus Squirtle, Game 7 or Game 6 it was not the final game. There you go.
Neuro?
Since you just mentioned Sulky, I have to say Sulky versus Innovation, the reverse all kill in the finals. That was incredible.
That was cool.
I don't think I've ever felt that much energy aside from the Cyril series.
My answer's weird. I would go back to the State of the Game era. Talking with those guys, laughing, but having the audience we did, just like the general feeling
thanks,
of...
Jeff.
I'm sorry I'm not JP, Jeff. I'm sorry I'm not JP.
I mean, I would go back to 10 minutes ago because every moment on this show is the best. No, I just mean in terms of nostalgia. You guys got me though. That was good. It's just a good time. It was interesting and different personalities, right? Back then we had JP McDaniels, Day Nizzles, all those guys. It was fun. Alessander, our very own producer, asks, after the confetti stops at BlizzCon, what happens? What did you do? And then Finjwa, or too soon? I'll answer the second part. It is too soon. First part, what did you guys do after the confetti fell?
Green barbecue.
Green barbecue, Nate?
I felt like shit. I went home and slept.
You went home and slept, CatZ?
I talked with JT from Twitch for like 3 hours. It was pretty fun.
I changed my clothes and went to my hotel. Thank you for the great question, Alessander. Commissions Open Zonalar says, been a StarCraft 2 fan since Wings. I'll be going to my first StarCraft 2 event ever this November with Home Story Cup. Question is, what are the do's and don'ts when going to an event like this? Thanks, I hope to get the high five and control. Guys, advice for your first StarCraft 2 event. What do you do and what do you do not do?
Shower.
Do shower.
Yeah.
Any don'ts?
That's
I would say if you're interacting with a personality in the scene, they are a real and normal person, so you don't need to be weird. You can just go up, talk to them, say hi, say you're a fan, that kind of thing. One of my favorite quotes is, brevity is the soul of wit. You can also think about what you would like to say to them before you get over there, and you want to avoid the awkward, just you're next to them and you just look at them.
okay, or you can be a fan. You know what? When Cyril won, and then I saw him in a group, even though I had just been talking to him like an hour before, or like, you know, earlier in the day, when I saw him walk in the group, I almost kneeled, dude. And the same thing happened with Beyond last time. So I say, hey, it's okay. You know, like, do you be yourself? I don't know, just you want to be weird, be weird.
I would say a mixture of all that. I like the advice. Like, go up, say hi. But one of my favorite reoccurring moments that happens is someone will go up and be like, hi, Jeff. I'll be like, hi. And they'll just kind of like look at me. And I'm like, well, it's my turn to steer this conversation with the person I just met. And I'll be like, are you having a good time? Like, I'm having the best time. I'm like, cool. Did you travel far? I did. Okay. Are you enjoying your time here? Like, I just go to my default mode. So if you meet someone, they're going to love to meet you. Just ask them what you want. Have a good time. Particle Man, Artosis. Nope, not here, Bish. It's just Jeff. Not answering your question. We'll wait. No, he actually says, glowing recommendation of AFKT. Decided to try the Earl Grey. I really enjoy it and have started using it as a replacement for coffee in the morning. Prior to this experience, I have never brewed tea. What is the best way to make a great cup of tea? I would say in your belly button. You ever tried it? No, you haven't. Don't knock until you tried it. Hyper Turtle says, how have Korean players reacted to Neeb, Scarlet, and Serral winning tournaments in Korea? How have the views of foreigners changed since the days of Gur? So, Gur played in a tournament.
Who's Gur?
Yeah, exactly. XDS Insane or Gur. He's referencing a tournament that happened in about 2000 or 2001, maybe. So he just asked, in 17 years, how have the views of foreigners changed? Hyper Turtle, I love you so much, buddy, but there's not enough time to ever even begin to do that. I think what you're trying to get at is, do the Koreans respect players like Neeb, Scarlet, and Serral? The answer is yes. But if you go off of like Dark and Rogue and some of those guys, I think that all changed even more so and will be a bigger topic for this next year. So we don't really know. We'll have to wait and see. Roscoe, does any of the Pylon Show crew know what's going on with Star Nation? I'm sure I remember a few people within the scene saying they had been given a screening, but it all went pretty dark since then. Roscoe, no, we don't know.
No one knows.
Matt, do you know? Alessander, do you know what's going on with Star Nation over there, guys?
Afraid not, sorry.
Nobody knows. It's all gone pretty dark here. Thank you for asking, though. Washburn, given their survival rate, how much would they have to pay you to be a Marine in StarCraft 2? Nate?
Nothing.
They wouldn't even
you could, Nathan, I'll give you $1 trillion right now in your bank and you die tomorrow. It's like, well, I don't even think I could consume that value of drugs in a day, even if I wanted to. So,
CatZ, how much do they have to pay, man?
Yeah, no amount also.
Wow. Neuro, I feel like you could be a Space Marine.
Hell yes, I could. Get to go around shooting stuff, shoot space bugs, huge armor. Hell yeah.
Dude, the lore of Warhammer, of StarCraft, excuse me, it's very similar. Is they're actually all convicts for the most part. They're enlisted as a punishment, essentially.
Which makes sense.
You don't really get paid. Yeah. You just get to fight for your freedom. What is your favorite pet memory? From David Klang. Anybody got a favorite pet memory?
I have a least favorite. I had to break up a dog fight.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there was a lady who had a big dog that I was throwing the ball for our dog, and it was bullying him and then ended up trying to bite him on the neck. And the other lady had no control over her dog, so I had to pick it up by the collar and its back and throw it off.
Did it bite you?
No. I grabbed it by the back of the neck.
Oh.
You gotta be careful.
He's like, no, it was a Pomeranian. CatZ, Nate, any favorite memories?
Well, I loved sitting on the hill by my high school watching the fireworks on 4th of July with my golden retriever and his U.S. flag bandana. There's some
cool.
There's some ear bleach for you.
That's
yeah.
beautiful.
Now going out for walks with my golden was the best. Back when I lived out in the middle of the woods.
Scranton.
Yeah, I feel like it's different to pin down a memory with pets, but yeah, I love dogs, so.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite. Well, I don't know that it's a favorite, but I'll just tell you a good one. I grew up with a big black lab, and it actually used to play. Well, I used to think it was playing tag, but it was really it just chases whoever runs from it and then throws them on the ground. So I used to have my friends come over and I'd be like, "Hey, you want to play tag with my dog?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, sure." I'd be like, "Go ahead, just run in that direction." They'd run, he'd chase him, he'd bite their shirt, and then just throw them on the ground. I didn't know what to do after that, but I thought it was really funny. That's my life. Puppers.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I got Bearson right over here.
Oh,
sweet little
dogs.
We love our dogs. Melty, if you had to give a recipe for SC2 snacks, what would it be? So SC2 snacks, by the way, is this really cool couple of people that are running a Twitter account where they just come up with food and they just ask StarCraft 2 people what they like to cook. I know that Vibe's active in it. They asked me, and then I did that stupid celebrity thing where I just didn't respond. But really, I just forgot. Neuro, do you have a dish that you like to make?
Yes, I already have one. I can just link the tweet for that. Give me 1 second.
Of course you do. CatZ, what about you, man? What do you make?
I make all kinds of food, and I'm always changing. I'm like the same in the kitchen as in the game, I guess. So I always grab whatever I have, and I see and try to make something that would taste good. And if I haven't done it before, then better. And I try not to follow recipes.
Nate,
but I usually do put them on Twitter.
Oh, you tweet, yeah. Nate, do you cook anything, man?
I do, but it's almost boring shit you could possibly imagine.
You make
I like meat,
peanut butter and jelly?
I like eggs. No, I don't. Not even like that. Usually, like if I'm my typical breakfast, if I'm gonna make something, I'm going to throw eggs. That's it. I'm just gonna scramble them up, put a bit of salt on them, and I'm good. I'm not
no cheese, no butter, none of that.
Nope. If I'm making tacos, it's just meat, maybe lettuce if I have it, and some like shredded cheese in a tortilla. That's it. That's all I got.
Taco style.
I'm the most boring eater / cook in the world. I sustain my obesity purely through consuming alcohol. It's really amazing.
I like how CatZ is like, I like to mix it up in the kitchen. I'm very different. The same as my StarCraft. Nate's like, nope, boring as fuck. All I do, no, it's not. Cheerios and milk. That's it. And
dude, if you buy good eggs, man, bit of salt.
I understand. I'm somewhere in between. I'm not. It's not that I'm boring. It's just that I don't cook. So what I end up making is like all the normal stuff. But tell you what, you take a Kraft macaroni box, you cut up some hot dog, and you put some ketchup on top of that.
Oh,
you got yourself a hell of a meal. And
gourmet.
It's real. Yeah.
Gourmet.
Neuro's is up on the screen, so you can check that out. But they do an awesome job. It's just kind of a fun thing. So Melty, thank you for asking about it. Give them a look-see for some behind-the-scenes look at what some of your favorite StarCraft people do for food. Broodweiser, what are some companies beside Blizzard / Activision you'd recommend for investing in esports through my E-Trade account? Thanks in advance. I'll take my question off the air. Sure, I got some answers for you. You got Neuro, Root CatZ, or you can just invest into Team Root. And then Nathanias TV. All fantastic companies with your E-Trade account.
Look, not to encourage insider memeing, but, you know, the Battlecruiser and Cyclone are about to get buffed to disgusting levels in about 13 or so days, making some investments while Nathanias is low off playing other games before the patch. I'm just saying, it's going to skyrocket. Your shares are going to be worth way more if you get in right now.
Let's talk.
A lot of people think that the Cyclone's going to decrease in value, though.
Yeah. So. Well, I mean, it'll be a more fun unit. It just won't be this stupid A-move robot of death.
True that.
Red Gunner Guy is asking a question that has a link to another thread, so I'm not going to click that, unfortunately. So I would just encourage you next time, just ask the question, not post a link and then say why. I'm not trying to make you feel bad, just for the speed of the show and for the general consensus. So I'm going to pretend that you asked, Jeff, why are you so handsome? And then this is a tough one for me to answer in a quick succession fashion, but I will try. Actually, before I answer, Nate, why am I so handsome?
Jeff, honestly, really, it's just a combination of the confidence that radiates through your already glorious pulsating muscles, but really it's just that touch of sarcasm that disarms you and sweeps you off your feet when you least expect it.
Thank you.
Can I answer the question?
Yeah, go ahead, Neuro.
Well, there's a lot of banter and bad manner and stuff on the internet, and you have both a debate background and a strong wit, but also you could beat up the person in real life, which I think is just a double whammy.
That's key. Yeah, you have to find me attractive or I'll beat you up. CatZ, close it out, please.
Maybe it's your eyes, Jeff, and everything else that they've brought up.
I've got two of them. Thank you. Okay.
Got two.
So thank you for the question, Red Gunner Guy. Just in the future, no links. Just ask the question. Thank you. Dissection 1992 asks, Orc, Human, Undead, or Night Elf? And as he asks, I realize we didn't mention Reforged, Warcraft 3. I think we're all excited about it, right?
Yeah.
Yes, very much.
Are you guys all going to play it? Can I expect some CatZ, Neuro, and Nathanias playing it?
Yeah.
I will for sure.
I've never played a Warcraft game other than a bit of Hearthstone, so I'm kind of hyped to go through the campaign, honestly.
Yes, and the campaign's fun. That was my only... So back in Warcraft 3 days, I just played Brood War obsessively, as you can imagine any StarCraft guy would. I didn't have anything against Warcraft 3. It's just that for me, it's a lot like Brood War. Like, it's not a fun sit down and play, unless the campaign. But like, if you just first someone, you're like, what is a creep? You know, you're gonna have a bad experience. But the better you get at it, the more you unlock how fun the game is. So I'm a little bit worried in that sense because I only played the campaign back in the day. I didn't play any of it, but. Do you guys have a race you're zeroing in on? Nate, anybody?
Ooh.
Todd plays human.
Todd plays human.
Night Elf.
You're a Night Elf guy?
Yep.
I used to be a Night Elf guy. Trees are cool.
The fact that you're base can get up and punch somebody is incredible.
Yeah. I started with Undead when I started playing again maybe like half a year ago. But Kiwi Kaki told me that I should be Night Elf for Orc if I want to experiment, and that the other two races are less experimenty.
Okay.
So probably one of those two.
All right. Yeah, we'll be playing it. We're excited. Thank you, Dissection. Just Falk asks, in control. I am at BlizzCon right now looking at you on the couch.
Oh.
Yeah, I know where this is going. How come all the casters look really professional with a sport coat, but you are not wearing one?
Mm.
I can answer that very easily. You ever taken a child and dress them? So like take a picture a 6-year-old boy and dress him as like an adult man with like a ill-fitting suit jacket and pants that are obviously not going to be wearable, and then like Oshkosh bagosh like sneakers that are like supposed to be dress, and how ridiculous that little kid looks. But you're like, oh wow, he's trying so hard. Oh my god, that's me as a 33-year-old man with a jacket on. My waist is 34, and then my shoulders are 46. Last we measured, I think it is. So any jacket you put on me, it turns me into a cylindrical. Who's the bad guy in Daredevil?
United States
Kingpin.
Kingpin. Yeah. What is his name though? What do they call him? Fisk. Yeah,
Fisk.
Thank you.
Yes.
So it makes me look like a haired Fisk, which is not a good look, by the way. So I look terrible in it. So we actually took a picture, and Mark, who's listening to the show right now, our stylist, we were like, hey, is it okay if Jeff doesn't look ridiculous? And he was like, yeah, that's fine. So I am sad that you didn't think I looked professional. I tried my best, but I'm glad you noticed that everybody else looked really professional because those are handsome sons of bitches. They are. All right, next question. Well, hang on. We're all over the place here. AGM McLeod. What aspects of 2019 are the most exciting? We actually already kind of covered that. Thank you for asking. Did Blizzard, Toxic Bloodlord asked, did Blizzard fail big time by releasing Diablo movie? We talked about that as well. Condog902 says, should we expect a bump in StarCraft 2 foreign amateurs now that a foreigner has won BlizzCon? Will that hurt or help the Korean scene? We kind of talked about this. Do you guys have anything to add? I think, yeah, we believe that it's going to help. Yeah, I think we talked about that. Brada Dia says, do you think people using derogatory terms or hate speech should be held accountable for what they say on Ladder? Like someone targeting people by race, religion, sexual orientation, etc. Other than muting / blocking the other person, how should the community react to ignorance and hate speech? Is Blizzard doing enough, in your opinion? Is Blizzard doing enough to stop that kind of stuff, guys?
It's kind of weird. As far as I'm aware, like, you know, if enough people report somebody, then it kind of like gets moved up through their flagging system. But I don't know that... I don't know. I don't think any game like looks for people who type inappropriate stuff and just automatically tunes them out. I feel like they're doing as much as anyone else. I don't know how much more they really could do without getting really invasive of like constantly scanning everything you say.
I think
there's context. I don't know.
The major driving force here is that the norms have to change. The norms of how we interact with each other and how we banter and insult and that kind of thing, and how Blizzard can enforce the rules of that in their game, but ultimately it's kind of that process of everyone agreeing that these are not good ways to communicate with each other. So that's a pretty big aspect of my stream as well, is not just thinking about how you're communicating, but the implications of the words you use and the impact on other people's lives. It's very real. We think about it like, oh yeah, we beat them on the ladder. It's kind of fun. You can be spicy about how you talk to someone without being really, really toxic and vile.
As someone that's somewhat recognizable, I can see how some insults might be personal, but I think that one thing to point out too is that to a majority of people, if you don't actually know the person that's insulting you, you shouldn't take anything personally, because they don't even know anything about you. They wouldn't know how to begin to insult you in the first place, right? So you shouldn't be offended by anything that they say, I think.
You can say that, but the reaction is emotional, in my opinion, where it's not. They can't logically say, I'm not going to feel anything about this. You get man-muled and someone says, get the F out, and they're using a lot of derogatory language. A lot of people have an emotional reaction to that, even if they wouldn't choose to.
Sure, but I think you can grow out of that. I think you can control your emotions to a degree. I think you can kind of make that if you make the rationalization at some point that none of it should be affecting you because the person that's insulting you knows nothing about you, I think that you can more easily handle those emotions. So I think that there should be a preventive level as a first layer of defense, right? Because the person that asks this question is probably like more easily offended than most, for example. I've never been too easily offended, even though I think I'm a fairly emotional individual, because I try to rationalize, well, is this, should I be offended? Does this person know anything about me or what they're saying about me? Like, why should I be offended?
Life is also just feels easier if you expect that people are going to be dicks to you, and that, your response is really what dictates the outcome of a lot of those interactions. So, you can be like, oh, this is not okay, but you also have to be able to be like, well, I'm just going to block this person because this isn't worth my time. You need to be able to do that, because if everything in society just keeps trying to push that away, eventually you're going to run into somebody who won't play by those rules, and you're going to be like, what are you going to do if you don't know how to handle yourself in a situation?
And I think,
aggressive towards you.
If I may, we just had a great example of that in Jeff talking about the right. You read a comment that was kind of inflammatory, kind of low key inflammatory, right? It's like, why were you the only person not looking professional? And that's more personal because they're talking about something that they saw about an individual that they know. And Jeff is an emotional person, I think, and still he managed to, come out ahead. Say, hey, you know what? I'm glad you noticed everyone else was professional, and here's actually why, so that maybe you don't think less of me anyway. So I think that learning process in dealing with toxic behavior is also important, and it's something that we can all control and not leave it to the rules that are set.
The question was more specifically about hate speech, though. I agree with you on that point, where conversation is a skill, and with practice of dealing with insults, you can improve at your counter BM, if you will. So yeah, for sure on that front. I think counter BM can be really fun, especially when you crush them.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's
that
fantastic.
feels so good. I agree. I think I think there's discussion as well. But yeah, hate speech is like in general. Maybe it's the American in me or whatever. But like, if someone takes it to a really nasty level, and if you report them, I don't know. The report system is kind of funny too, right? Because you have to imagine people just get reported. It's like obviously garbage. They didn't even do anything. They're just like, I'm going to report them because they play Protoss or whatever. But if someone's like actually just dropping the N-word everywhere or something like that, insta-ban them. And if they're not doing that, then they should. And that's where I guess the spirit of the question might be taking it.
On this front, yeah, if it is something that everyone can agree just should be excommunicated from our environment, right? On that front, I've given Blizzard feedback. There's something that Dota does really well, which is when you report people, it doesn't tell you anything, but eventually if the person you reported gets punished in any way, it lets you know. And the system that Blizzard has doesn't let you know, which is what makes questions like this possible. If the system ever gave you feedback like, hey, you remember that guy that you reported like 10 days ago? Well, enough people reported him or we looked into it, he's banned. Then you can trust the system to do what it's doing best.
Absolutely.
A lot of games do that now too.
CSGO does as well, with cheating more specifically, but
Yeah,
I think another part of that problem is that people don't report as much because they feel like it does nothing because they don't get that feedback.
Nate hit the nail on the head, and that is it creates like an apathetic. Yeah, wow, that was a really good discussion. Great question, thank you. Gunner070 says, "I'm seeing that StarCraft." So he basically asked, "There's rumors that a mobile game for StarCraft is in design. Would you like to see that?" Is what he's asking.
Blizzard makes it. I'd love to try it. Yeah.
Someone in the chat during this discussion today said, StarCraft Go. That sounded really fun to me. Go out and catch a Zergling, catch a Zealot.
That would be cool.
I think, Gunnar, I think any game, Blizzard makes quality shit. So, yeah, I think it's how you announce it, right? Like, if you were like, guys, huge StarCraft announcement at this next BlizzCon, and we're all like, holy fuck, StarCraft 3, and then they're like, just kidding, it's Kerrigan Goes to Day School. It's a mobile game designed around 6-year-old girls. We'd be like, oh.
It's like, fuck, yeah.
Wow, that's really upsetting. So it's how you handle it. Yeah. I'd be okay with it. Toxic is laughing at something in there. Gildan, how many 3 Artosis Moon shirts did you guys see at BlizzCon? Yeah, a huge shout out to you guys. And I hugged everyone I saw, by the way. But I saw it must have been 5, 6, or 7 people. But what's kind of funny is I didn't notice the shirt as much as I should have. And they were like, hey, do you see the shirt I'm wearing? I'm like, oh, shit. And I was like, okay. That is a swanky shirt. So thank you very much. If you want to join the people that own a 3 Moon Artosis shirt, you can do that through Matcherino. Pick up that lovely shirt. Last 2 questions. Nathanias, how did you manage to sneak in and replace TY for this Super Tournament match versus Creator?
Well, it was simple. I just went to the future where we had technology where we could just make ourselves look like other people. It's hologram technology.
Yeah.
Knocked him unconscious, and I just wanted to show the world that you can use BCs. Also, I totally didn't. I mean, yeah, I wasn't actually there. As cool as it would have been.
You had me going for it.
Yeah.
We are seeing more battle cruises, though. I was noticing that. DeMuslim's been doing it on his stream as well, actually.
Yeah.
Probably getting ready for this next patch, but I'm excited for Nathanias to take my ladder points. Alessander, final question. If you were a sentient StarCraft breakfast cereal, what would you be? Neuro?
Honey bunches of roach.
Why?
Oh my god.
Because it's like honey bunches of oats, but it's made of roach.
I like it.
CatZ, what cereal would you be?
Not sure. Lucky Charms.
You'd be a Lucky Charms?
Yeah. But I don't know how you make this spacey. There's already stars in there, I guess.
That's right.
Guess I'd be some sort of ripoff of like Corn Pops and be like Storm Drops. Yeah. It's like little warp prisms and little high Templar mellows or something.
It can be those patterns of cornflakes or cereal that are like what are they called? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like waffles, like for the storms.
Oh, graham crackers or whatever.
Oh, you know, yeah, you're next level. Cinnamon toast. I could be like a cinnamon toast.
Yeah, something like
rush
that.
or
Yeah.
something.
I think you guys are going about this wrongly. You're doing cereals that people want to eat, and you are sentient, so you're getting consumed in this scenario. I would be one of the shitty cereals, like.
Oh, yeah, I'm a shitty
I don't
cereal.
like Lucky Charms.
I don't know.
I hate Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
There you go. I'll just be. I'm Archon Bites. It's my favorite unit. So I'm Archon Bites. If you eat it, it actually just kills you. Just blow up. It's like the scene from Legacy of the Void cinematic. It just implodes inside you, taking a gaping hole out of your flesh.
So Berry Crunch, or what is it called? Cap'n Crunch. That's it. Yeah, Cap'n Crunch is like a good cereal, but they came out with one that was like double berry, and it was like just all berries. It's like the shittiest cereal I've ever seen in my life. Because the berries are good, but mixed in with the fucking
regular Captain Crunch is way better. Okay,
that's what I'm saying.
Maybe I'd be like a Nidus type cereal.
I'd be the berry one.
Does that rip through you?
What the hell? You guys are getting all violent about cereal. Well, guys, we're at that stage where we're starting to get delirious because we've been talking StarCraft. We're coming up on 3 hours. Another fantastic show in the bag. I want to give a special thanks to these guys. Neuro, you're awesome. CatZ, you're awesome. Nathanias, you're awesome. Before I pass it off to you guys to talk about where you're from and where you're at, I have to give some love to our folks that make this show possible as well. I think CatZ, or not CatZ. What is this picture? Just waiting for. Well, okay. First one's AFKT. Lycan is doing an awesome job supporting the show. He's just a great guy. The tea is good. People have been sampling it. And he actually has a bonus code. You can save 20% right now if you order using the code Pylon at checkout. Literally Pylon. It's Pylon. So if you like tea, you should check that out. Thank you to them. And then next we have Matcherino. We met with a lot of the Matcherino guys at BlizzCon. They're really happy with this content. You guys are interacting with it and engaging it. Matt, Alessander, Lich are all doing a fantastic job of putting a ton of products up there. And it's just, you guys are knocking it out of the park. So they're really happy. It looks like we're going to be partnered up with Matcherino for the time moving forward. But please don't pull off the gas. There's a free, you put in the code. It doesn't cost you anything, but it gets engagement for them. And then some of this stuff is really good. So if you want to pick up the voice packs, you can do it through that website. Oh my God, that mug. Show the one with the Dan with the, my God. All right, you can have that mug.
That's cool.
And the Artosis Moon shirt's probably our top selling one. There's also the Is It Though mug. Just good stuff on there. So check it out. They make, you know what, guys, here, they make good Christmas gifts. They make good Christmas gifts. Give someone the gift of a mug.
If someone is bored and they don't know what to do and they don't want anything, buy me one of those Artosis Moon shirts. Just send it to me.
Yeah,
I'd love one.
Nate needs one of those shirts.
I really like them as well.
CatZ can use one. Neuro can use one. Neuro doesn't really wear shirts, but you can send it to him.
Okay, cut off the sleeves before you send it to
You
him.
can give it to somebody else that wears shirts or something like that. But big shout out to Matcherino. They're just awesome to work with. They're really passionate about StarCraft, and they say that our show is doing great. So thank you, everyone. And then last but not least, in terms of support for the show, is the Patreon, which, like I said, we're over 2,000. We're going to try to push that upward and onward so that we can continue to pay Cobra what he's worth or get close to it. And then Dan, of course, is some kind of weird pagan idol. There's no amount of money that will ever satiate his thirst for greed, but we're going to keep trying. And then for me, of course, I'm just a humble servant of the game of StarCraft. If I can just make any money at all, you know, it's just so good, so fortunate. That's it for the sellouts. Oh, no, excuse me. Did you show the tier thing, Cobra? All the Patreon people? Did we show that? There it is. Emery Toss is all alone, by the way. Emery Toss wanted me to speak out to you guys. Why is it? Why does he have to be the turtle with the earth on its back or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a couple of oil tycoons.
I was going for like the Atlas thing, I guess.
I blinked on the name.
Turtle one in forever. I haven't heard the turtle one in forever. That's really old.
There's a turtle that holds the earth, which is easy because the earth's flat, so it just holds it on its shell. There's all the tiers. Thank you to everyone that did this and makes this possible. You guys are awesome. You're lovely. Thank you. And like I said, we're over $2,000, so these guys are getting paid, and all future guests are getting paid as long as we maintain that. So thank you. All right, we're all done, guys. Thank you so much for showing up. It was a long, awesome show. Please plug your stuff. Tell these people where you're going to be. Let's start with KatZ.
I am streaming right now pretty often, but yeah, I was on a big hiatus, I guess. I'll be streaming StarCraft. I expect I'll be streaming some Warcraft when they fix that. And yeah, as far as Root, you can expect us to continue to support StarCraft throughout 2019 and quite possibly expand onto other places. You can follow me at KatZ on Twitter and my stream, twitch.tv/RootKatZ.
And KatZ is KatZ is an interesting Twitter. He's not afraid to share his opinion. He talks to a lot of programmers, great insight into everything. So please do follow him. Mr. Nathanias, thank you so much for coming back on. What are you up to, man? What do you got going?
Always a pleasure, Jeff. I'm casting WESG this weekend. We're casting Friday evening Pacific time with Fear Dragon. And we'll be casting. It's just the semis on Friday, and then Sunday, 2 days after. The Sunday is the grand finals, which Neeb will probably be in. So if you're into that sort of thing, check it out. Otherwise, I'm doing variety streams until the big patch drops. I'm under the impression that will be at when the season changes, which is like November 19th, 20th. Doing some variety stuff. Feel free. As a Terran player, I'm really excited for the changes, and I know I'm enough of a salty asshole, so I figure a little bit of time off before I go super crazy back into StarCraft.
Nothing wrong
Probably
with that.
be good for me. So
very cool. Before I pass it off to Neuro, because we're gonna raid him. He's streaming right after this. I just want to. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, next week regular Pylon show. I believe Artosis will be returning. I'll be there as well. The following week, I'm actually going to be at Home Story Cup, so I will not be on the Pylon show, but Artosis will be taking it over. And then, like I said, we'll go into planning stage, but sometime in December, maybe in the middle of it, we will do a holiday show of Pylon show to celebrate the year. And adult beverages will be consumed in some capacity. So if you're like, well, I don't want to see people drinking, don't watch that episode. This episode will go live on ArtosisTV's YouTube immediately after. If you can't wait and you're like, gosh, that Jeff guy, I really want to support him, consider subscribing to my channel. I host this content. I create other StarCraft stuff, and you'll get access to my VODs immediately, but you'll just be supporting the show. So just thank you very much. But that's me. Neuro, what about you? What are you up to, man?
Well, first I wanted to express some gratitude for being on the show so many times. It's always a treat. And all those nice comments on the YouTube videos and stuff about me coming on, it's really encouraging. But yeah, we've got tons of steam, tons of momentum with my stream. I'll be streaming after this. I stream full-time. My schedule is not super consistent, but if you're on Twitch, I'm probably online, something like that. I'm hyped for next year, tons of momentum. Let's wrap it up. This has been a magnificent conversation. Love all of you.
Thank you very much, Neuro.
good times, man.
You guys are awesome. All right, we're going to host Neuro, so if you want to stick around, you'll watch his show. We'll see you guys later next week. Bye-bye.
GG.
Bye.